Shall we tune in? Is it time?
It is time.
Thank you, Sanam. It is time. So just a word to start this event. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Ikyta Taiwan is very happy to invite you all today for to present beautiful teachers, mainly from the USA today, and to present something that is going on these days, to the elections of the new members of the board of the Citizen Site Corporation that maybe many teachers in Taiwan and also in China don't know about. 所以今天就非常开心只有我们邀请到了很有名的、很棒的老师们，大部分今天都是从美国来的那就这个今天的这个会议的主要的原因是让大家多一点知道有关这个新的选举这是 Citizen Site Corporation 这个集团的有一些新的选举的问题所以就今天我们会多了解关于这个选举的一些事情，然后也会有很棒的老师们可以跟我们一起分享他们的音乐、他们的故事，还有他们的生活的经验这样子。然后有 Harpal Singh。Harpal Singh 从加拿大from Canada. Harpal Singh will introduce each speaker. 所以感谢 Harpal Singh 从加拿大就会介绍每一个老师所以就I pass to Harpal Singh and 感谢大家。不好意思，我的声音我刚刚得到了这个新冠病毒所以就我的声音有一点不好的所以就有一点感冒了，有点不舒服不好意思。那还有介绍一下Yogiji Singh 是我们的翻译台湾的很厉害的我们的资深的老师，然后还有Untitled会帮忙今天翻译 OK 就这样子。我也有时候会帮忙翻译，但是我也准备了一个 PowerPoint， 所以大家都可以跟得上今天的课程。谢谢大家 So now have fun。 谢谢 Harpal Singh. That's thank you. Now thank you.
Yes. So Satwan, we didn't run through this, but can I just say a few sentences in English about each speaker, and then you're going to translate it into Taiwanese?
Exactly. You have Yogiji Singh as
Yes.
Okay. So Livtar, and yeah, you'll just announce them. So I'll do Livtar Singh. I'll start now. Is that good?
Okay.
So Livtar Singh is one of the legacy students of the Siri Singh Sab. He's from Atlanta, Georgia, or near there, Roswell, Georgia, United States of America. And he is I believe a 40 or 50 year student of Yogi Bhajan. He's a teacher. Him and his wife, Livtar Kaur, are an amazing couple that has served this Dharma for decades. And he holds a beautiful space in this Dharma He's an inspiring devotional singer and chanter, and he does nightly chanting, upholding the space.
那我们首先介绍这位是，我们首先介绍这位是 Livtar Singh 老师哦。那他是 Yogiji 讲其中一位很资深的、很传奇性的学生哦。那我相信呢，他跟他的太太 Livtar Kaur， 他们呢都是这个有40-50年的教学经验，然后他们投注精力在这个唱诵啊教学上面。那他们是这个来自美国的老师。
Livtar Singh is one of our candidates who is running for this upcoming election this August. He's one of the people that's on our candidacy who supports to possibly uplift and support the legacy and these teachings moving forward for us, for our children, for our grandchildren, for the future. And so we honor him, we thank him, his chanting and his music and his devotion and his very fierce spirit. He's one of the strongest, most fierce. He cuts through things with like a sword. He's a very strong Mukta Singh, I believe what they call. He's a very strong warrior of a Sikh man. When we're thankful he's here. Thank you, Livtar Singh.
那 Livtar Singh 老师呢，他将会参选这个8月份的这个选举啊，他是其中之一的候选人。我们也很感谢他能够站出来，能够去参加，然后来去服务未来的这个世代，去守护这个传承哦。那这个 Livtar Singh 老师，他除了是投注了很多奉献的心力在这个唱诵啊，在这个音乐的创作上之外呢，他本身也是一个相当的有力量，非常的果敢的一位这个锡克男性啊，他能够很直接的去洞穿这个事情的本质，然后去把事情办好。Okay.
So what, Kaur?
Sorry, we don't know who are the candidates, and we are not talking about candidates today. We are only presenting teachers. We are not talking about candidates. I'm sorry.
Sorry about that.
Thank you.
那抱歉跟大家更正一下，不是更正，跟大家提醒一下，我们今天呢就是想跟大家介绍各位来自美国的资深老师，而先不去从这个介绍候选人的角度出发。OK。
Okay.
Yes.
All right. I would like to tune in a little bit, and I want to teach one little mantra.
那我现在准备呢，想带大家一起调频，然后我们一起来练习，来唱诵一段这个 mantra。
When you do mantra, when we learn it, we hear it with our ears from the perspective of our own language.
其实当我们在学习 mantra 的时候呢，我们是通过耳朵来学习，并且是从我们自己本身我们自己的母语来去听、来去学习的。
So it affects the way we pronounce the mantra and the way it actually affects us.
那所以通过这样的方式学习呢，它其实影响了我们所听到的 mantra， 我们所唱出的 mantra， 我们所练习的 mantra。
So what I learned one time when I was in India, and I didn't learn this from a teacher, I learned from a cab driver.
那我是在有一次在印度的时候呢，我学到这样的一个技巧，而且我不是跟特定的一位老师学习，而是在跟一个出租车司机学习到的。
I was trying to tell the cab driver to take me to the hotel.
那当时呢，我跟司机说呢，请带我到饭店，到旅馆。
And in English, it's hotel.
那这个旅馆、酒店在英文呢是这个hotel。
But in India, they speak English with their Indian accent, and they say hotel.
那在印度呢，他们是用这个印度腔来讲英语嘛，所以他们说的是类似像hotel。
What I learned, and then I said, I'm thinking he can't understand me. And then I realized I have to say it like he says it.
那所以我意识到说呢，我的这个标准英语的这个 hotel 他听不懂，所以我必须要按照他的腔调来去发这个音了。
So I said, hotel, hotel.
那所以我就模仿他们的口音，跟他们重复这个旅馆这个字。
And he knew exactly what I meant.
那所以他马上就听懂了。
So what I learned is when you hear the mantra, you want to imitate. You don't want to say it with your own language affecting it. You want to try to imitate like you're an actor and you're imitating somebody's, what do you call it? When you imitate a famous person, or you try to sound exactly like them.
那所以这边我想分享的一个心得就是说呢，我们在学习 mantra 的时候，我们应该要避免从我们自己的母语出发去让我们的口音去影响这个 mantra， 而是我们好像就像是一个演员要去模仿一个去进行一个模仿秀啊。那你试着让你的音呢听起来完全就像是你模仿的对象一样。
So the mantra we do all the time is Ad Gure Name, Jagad Gure Name, Sat Gure Name, Sri Gurudeve Name.
那至于这个刚才老师念的这4句 mantra 呢，是我们每次练习前都会唱的。
Here's the way it's actually should be pronounced if you read it. Ad Gure Namaha, Jagad Gure Namaha, Sat Gure Namaha, Sri Gurudev Namaha。
那是我们熟悉的这个课前的调频呢，这4句呢，其实我们在结尾的时候有这个 Ad Gure Namaha， 我们的结尾有这个哈，那这个是我们去仔细听的话，能够去看这个字面上能够看出来的。
So let's tune in together, doing it as close as we can to correct pronunciation.
那我们就准备好调频之后呢，在调频之后来唱诵这4句，然后尽可能精准的模仿这个声音。
Inhale.
吸气。
Ad Gure Namaha, Jagad Gure Namaha, Sat Gure Namaha, Sri Gurudev Namaha. Ad Gure Namaha, Jagad Gure Namaha, Sat Gure Namaha, Sri Gurudev Namaha. Ad Gure Namaha, Jagad Gure Namaha, Sat Gure Namaha, Sri Gurudev Namaha. Vaheguru Satnam. I started with Yogi Bhajan in 1969 in Florida.
那我自己呢是在1969年呢，在美国的佛罗里达州开始跟 Yogi Bhajan 学习。
My father, I became a student of Yogi Bhajan right away as soon as I met him.
当我一见到 Yogi Bhajan 之后呢，我就成为他的学生了。
We were together for many lifetimes, so I never had a problem or I never had any struggle with am I a student or not a student. The moment I met him, done, we're together, let's go.
所以其实可以说呢，我已经跟着 Yogiji 老师学习了好几辈子了，所以对我来说，去认可他为老师是完全不费力的。我一见到他，我就知道就是这样了。那我就跟着你走了。
I was only 18 years old, and I
那
was
时候
just graduating from high school.
我才18岁哦，才从高中毕业。
I was supposed to go to university,
那我那时候就应该去上大学了。
and I went to the university for about 2 or 3 weeks. And every time I went into a class, I just thought, they're just talking nonsense. I don't want this. I don't like it. All I want is my spirituality.
那时候我在上大学课程的时候，我只感觉课上讲的东西都没什么意义哦。那我只觉得我想要完全投入我的这个灵性道路。
So when my father found out I was not going to go to the university, he thought I was crazy. And they put me into a mental hospital.
那时候我的父亲了解到说我并不想上大学，他们认为是我的这个心理出了问题哦，他们甚至还带我去到这个心理医院。
So the best part of that is
那在故事当中最有趣的是
when they put you in, they do 40 days to give you a proper evaluation.
就是一旦你进到这个所谓的精神病院呢，它会有这个40天的完整的评估疗程。
So it's a perfect 40-day meditation.
好，所以对我来说是一个很棒的40天冥想。
Actually, Yogi Bhajan came to Orlando, where I live, while I was inside the mental hospital.
那在我待在这个医院里的这段期间呢，Yogiji也有来到我所在的城市奥兰多。
So when he came to teach a class, and the class was going to be that evening, and I had to escape from the mental hospital to go see the class.
那当他来到这个我所住的地方的时候，他是来教课嘛。那时候是在傍晚的课，所以那天我就想办法去逃离了这个医院。
So I did. I went around the back and went down the back freight elevator where nobody was looking, and a friend of mine picked me up, and we went to the class.
所以我就想办法去到了这个搭了这个货梯，然后我的朋友接送我，然后我就成功的离开去上课了。
So at the end of my 40 days, the doctors told my father that I was the most well-adjusted, sane person they had ever met.
那在40天的这个评估疗程结束之后呢，这个心理医生也告诉我的父亲说呢，我是他所见过的一个最理智的一个人了。
So my father he was hoping something was wrong that he could fix, but he couldn't fix it.
所以我的父亲他其实是期待着能从我身上找出什么问题，然后好去解决，但结果没有。
So I was sent to start an ashram in 1970 here in Atlanta.
那在这个1979年的时候呢，1970年的时候，我被送去主持一个道场，然后就在我现在所住的这个亚特兰大这里。
So we've been teaching here, and we used to have an ashram with a lot of people living in the ashram.
所以我就开始在这个地方教学，而且开始的时候，我们总是有很多人住在一起练习。
Yogi Bhajan used to come every year, and he would teach tantric yoga in person before he before when they started doing the videos.
那Yogiji讲呢，每年都会来到这个地方，然后来对我们来做这个带领我们做弹吹瑜伽啊，这是在把弹吹瑜伽去正式录成影片之前的事情。
So we had moved one year when he came. We had just moved into a new house. We were running around painting everything, cleaning everything, and we got everything all done, except we ended up with some kind of junk and things that we couldn't take care of.
那有一年呢，是这个Yogiji来的时候，我们才刚搬进新家，那时候我们忙着去赶快把家里打理好啊，粉刷啊，然后但是忙到最后呢，我们还是有一些这个很难处理完成的地方哦，有些杂乱的地方。
So as you walk in the door to the ashram, there was a room to this side and a room to this side. And on the outside of this room, there was a outside porch, but it had a roof. We put all the junk in there and we put a curtain and pulled it across.
更正了，是这一年Yogiji到的时候呢，我们刚搬进一个新的这个道场修道院，应该说道场的一个场地哦。那所以我们就是把里面都打扫干净了，但是在右边的这个门廊外面呢，我们把这个来不及清理完的垃圾，把它都塞进一个地方，把它盖起来。
So we go pick up Yogiji at the airport. We bring him to the house, to the ashram. We walk in the front door. We're so proud of all of our work. It's so beautiful, freshly painted, so nice.
那所以那一天我们就到机场去接Yogiji，然后把他接送到我们的这个道场。那一进门呢，我们就很引以为傲的去看到说，我们把这个环境整理得很好。
He takes 2 steps inside of the door and he stops.
那Yogiji才走进这个修道院的这个道场的大门2步之后，他就站定了，就不动了。
He turns his head and looks at the curtain that we put up.
然后他就把头转过去看那个我们遮住这个垃圾的那个帘子。
What's behind the curtain? He said.
他就对我们问说呢，那个帘子后面是什么？
Nothing, sir, nothing. It's nothing. Don't worry about that. Just look over here at the beautiful painted, everything nice here.
那我们就赶快澄清说那边什么都没有，不用担心哦。那请你看看我们把这个内部整理的打理的多么棒。
So he walked straight over and he pulled back the curtain and there's a big pile of stuff and
那是Yogiji他就Yogiji就直接走向这个门帘之后呢，他就把这个门帘掀开，然后看到里面就是各种堆放的垃圾啊、杂物啊等等的。
He always knew what was going on because he can read the auras.
所以Yogiji他总是知道总是能掌握现场的状况，因为他能够去读大家的这个能量场、能量圈。
And many people will tell you over the years when they would go to class with him that they would be thinking something, sitting in a class with 50 people, 100 people, and think, oh, don't call on me, don't call on me. Sometimes he would ask a question, don't call on me. And he would, just because they're thinking that, he would call on them.
那许多呢，跟着Yogiji上课许多年的学生，其实都有同样的一个经历，就是不管你是在一个10几人，或是几百人的一个教室里面呢，当Yogiji问了一些问题那有些学生会在心里面想说这个希望不要叫到我来回答那但是往往一旦你有这样的念头呢，Yogiji就会叫你来回答。
So one last little story. We were in on the island of Trinidad, which is in the Caribbean.
那我们有另外一个故事是发生在另外一个地方。
And we drove for an hour and a half, 2 hours, way out into the country to this small little temple, just a little, not very big at all.
那我们是一起到国外的一个地方教课，我们一起开了大概1个半小时到2个小时的车哦，去到一个偏远的地方的一个小小的一个寺庙，小小的一个宗教的场所。
And we had arranged for him to teach, so there were probably 100 people there waiting.
那我们帮 Yogiji 长安排了组织了一堂课程在那边了，所以大概到的时候呢，有150人左右在那边等。
I had his skin, so I went ahead. I ran up to the front and I put his skin for him to where he could sit. And then I turned around and I watched him come in.
那时候呢，我就手边就拿着 Yogiji 长的羊毛嘛，所以我就先上到台前去把 Yogiji 长的羊毛铺好，然后再接着走向 Yogiji 长。
And as he walked, before he could walk, everyone came out of their seats and they dove down onto the floor and put their forehead onto his feet.
那当他走到台前的这个路上呢，旁边两旁的这些学生呢，就是在旁边是顶礼啊，匍匐的顶礼，让他们的这个手啊、额头啊能够碰到Yogiji 长的脚。
So it took him a while to come up because everybody was doing that to his feet.
那所以当他要走上台之前的这段路，他就走了一段时间了，因为每个人都想要去触碰到他的脚。
And as he was coming, tears were coming down his eyes and his cheeks.
那当他在走向台上的这个路上呢，他的这个他就开始流泪了，他的这个眼泪就流了下来。
And the next day he told us, these people were my old friends from 10,000 and 100,000 years ago, from all through my incarnations.
过了几天之后呢，Yogiji 长就告诉我们说呢，这150个人呢，他其实都是Yogiji 长大概在10000年前啦，然后10万、100万年前的这个朋友们。
And they had come to say goodbye because this is my final incarnation.
那他们来到这里见我呢，是想跟我道别，因为这也是他们最后一次的轮回了。
That's the vastness, the consciousness. People can't even begin to understand how vast he was.
但是我们从中呢，可以去领略到Yogiji 长的这个意识是如何的这个广阔啊，那是许多人甚至都理解不了的一种境界。
And that's my time. Thank you so much, Shishi. Is that it?
Yes.
For coming tonight. And we are here to serve you in any way we can. Please, if you need anything, we're here for you. Bless you and keep up. Satnam.
那以上就是我的分享啊，那就我们也想让大家知道说，我们今天来到这里，那跟大家相聚呢，也是为了服务大家。有任何需要协助的呢，都请让我们知道。OK， 谢谢 Sanam。
Take over, our Paul.
Thank you, Livtar Singh. Next, we have Gurutej Singh.
那接着下一位的主讲老师呢是Gurutej Singh 老师。
Gurutej Singh is another legacy student of the Sri Singh Sahib Yogi Bhajan. and he lives. Oh.
Yep. Yes. 这个 Gurutej Singh 老师呢，他也是另外一位很资深的 Yogi 宝奖的学生。
And he lives in. He's in America now, but he lives in Asia at this time, close to where you guys, the majority of you live.
那虽然他现在人在美国，但其实他的这个居住地呢，常住地呢是在亚洲，在新加坡。
He's an incredible teacher, a long-time Dharmic member. He's been around the Dharma for 50 years, working in close with Yogi Bhajan and in some of the legacy organizations.
那他是如此的资深哦，他在过去50年来的时间里都是一方面是他贴身的跟着Yogi Bhajan学习很长的时间，然后另外一方面他也是服务于各种的这种传承事业当中的这个重要的职位。
So Gurutej Singh, thank you for joining us. I'll turn it over to you, and thank you for joining our call today.
那所以我们接着就请 Gurutej Singh 老师来主讲。
I think I met some of you a few years ago when we did a special program at MPA, and there were a number of Taiwanese students there. It was great. It was great fun. I was thinking maybe I should begin by reading you a poem.
那我想我可能见过在座的某些台湾的学生呢，因为几年前我们在 MPA 有办一个团队，那有一些台湾的参加者，那我接着想通过一首诗呢来开场。
So I don't know the best way to do this and have it translated. So I'll just read it,
试试看。
and then we'll decide what to do, okay?
那老师他会先念诵这首诗哦，但是我们因为没有先套好招啊，所以就是我们待会看看能不能够传达给各位。
It's a poem that Gurutej wrote.
这是 Gurutej 老师他自己写的一首诗哦。
The poem is called How I Began.
这首诗的这个名字呢是我如何开始的。
This is the story of when I first met Yogi Bhajan.
那这个也是我最初遇见Yogi Bhajan的这个故事。
So it's called How I Began. This is the story of when I started. Go ahead. Sorry.
Sorry. 这首诗的诗名是我如何开始的。
This is the story of when I started to walk this path of the open-hearted. At a rock festival is where I began to learn the science of Kundalini and change myself from a spaced-out weenie when all I wanted was to hear the bands. So I started out with a bunch of fools to rock and roll and break the rules, but by the yoga tent was where we camped. That first morning was a yoga class, which I walked into but meant to pass, and that experience on my mind would stand. They said the yogi would speak that night, our hearts and minds he would delight. I should be there to know the truth. I planned to go for that whole day, but then a few drugs got in the way. And when the time came, well, my mind was loose. To the yoga tent, I made my way to hear what the yogi had to say. But first, there was a yoga class. Now, yoga and drugs don't really mix. And by the end, I was in a fix. My heart and mind were running fast. All my clothes were soaked with sweat, and I was thinking that Tibet was the only place where I could be talked down. Then the yogi began to speak, and I truly began to freak. I'll never forget that awesome sound. He said, "You've come to lose your fears," I heard with my mind, not my ears. "And drugs will destroy your heart and soul." Then my ego screamed into my brain, "Run, you fool, don't bear this pain." So I turned and tried to find a hole. I crawled away on hands and knees to the edge where I could see thousands of aimless people on the strand. And I knew that in that raging sea was not where I was meant to be. The time had come for me to take a stand. Then I understood I had found the door to what I had prayed my whole life for. I had to go back and take it like a man. Then softly I began to cry as my ego began to die, while my tears rolled onto the sand. I turned again and followed the sound back to my little piece of ground. On my hands and knees I returned. He said, now's the time to grow. Forget these drugs and let them go. This opportunity you have earned. And in myself I felt deep peace, for my fears had been released. I had faced myself and seen my soul. So that's how it began for me to walk this path to victory, but that was many long years ago.
Yep. 那老师刚才念的这首诗呢，是他这个描述了他遇见玉宝奖的这个历程哦。那我觉得把大致的情节来跟大家介绍哦，就是说呢，最开始的时候，老师他可能就是通过这个在那个嬉皮年代啊，通过毒品的方式来去体验一种扩张，一种扩展。那之后呢，他有机会去参加到玉宝奖的这一堂瑜伽课。那他半信半疑的参加之后呢，他也就慢慢去发现到说，诶，他一样在瑜伽课当中经历到了扩张扩展，然后整个人都开始流汗了等等的。那在这个过程当中，他开始去感觉到他是用他的真心去聆听到这个教导，而不是他的耳朵。但同时呢，这个教导的真实也让他觉得很害怕。那所以他的本能是先好像连滚带爬来这样想要逃离那个地方啊。但是逃离的过程当中，他也意识到说这个逃离不是他真正想做的事情，他意识到他需要改变啊，所以他最后又再爬回教室啊，然后呢去真正去接受说这是他需要站起来去接受改变，去为自己为自己的真实去负责的一个时刻。所以在这个最开始呢，就是老师的这个转化的过程哦，就是去看到自己的害怕，然后并且去直面它，然后再一次的去真正回到课堂上去接受这个是他所渴望的。Okay.
So I was 19 at that time. That's how I began, and so I learned, that was like a 3-day rock festival, and I learned a few sets of Kundalini yoga exercises, and I went home and I started doing them every day. And I just prayed that I would, really meet the teacher and move on from there. And in answer to my prayers, Livtar came to Atlanta. And there was a sign that was up in this area of downtown Atlanta that said, yoga classes in the park, 7 a.m. So I got up early the next morning, had to take the bus to downtown to where the park was. And I got there all ready to do a 7 a.m. yoga class, and nobody showed up. And I waited until 9 or so. And I thought, I bet that was a misprint, and it's actually 7 p.m. And I was thinking to myself, I should wait here until the teacher comes. And then I thought, but this is the Aquarian age. I don't know where this thought came from. This is the Aquarian age. I'll just come back tonight. So that's what I did. And Livtar was there, and he taught me beautifully. And then after a year, kicked me out and sent me to Memphis. And I was in Memphis, where there had been a teacher who had embezzled money and misbehaved with students, and I needed to clean that up. And then I got Yogiji asked me to go to St. Louis. I was in St. Louis for a couple of years, and then
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah，所以呢，在这个当时呢，我在这个3天的瑜伽课当中，我学了一些这个瑜伽库纳里尼瑜伽的练习那回家之后，我就开始练习，然后我也期待我能够去遇到一个教库纳里尼瑜伽的老师那也就过了不久呢，这个Livtar Singh老师就来到这个我所住的这个亚特兰大这里开课。那时候我看到这个张贴的海报是写说早上7点所以我就很准时的搭了长途的车去到市中心，然后准时到了，但是没有人出现。那大概等到9点之后呢，我意识到这可能是海报印错了，可能是晚上7点，不是早上7点那所以我就一开始想说，我是不是要等到晚上7点呢？但是后来又想想，现在是宝瓶时代嘛就不需要说这个不是说把老师的地位提到最高那我就再出去晃晃，然后晚上7点再回来。那回来之后就确实Livtar Singh老师就在，那他就教了我一堂很棒的瑜伽课。然后大概过了1年之后呢，他就派我到别的地方去教学了。那再后来呢，也是在这个地方教学了一阵子，解决了一些事情，然后Yogiji班长又派我去另外一个地方教学。Yes。
So in 1975, I moved to Espanola.
好，那在1975年的时候，我就搬到 Espanola 市，在新墨西哥州。
And this was in the very early days of the Espanola community.
好，那这是在这个 Espanola 的这个地方社群呢，才刚开始去发展的那头几年呢。
So we built the community, we worked on the land. There were a couple of businesses. There was a restaurant, the Golden Temple restaurant in Santa Fe that did okay, but didn't do great. But that was one of the main things that supported the ashram.
那在那时候一开始我们也做一些生意比方说像 Golden Temple 的这个餐馆那它其实是当时我们整个社群的主要的收入来源。
And everybody worked, put in some time in the restaurant, but also worked on the land and helped to develop the community.
所以很多人都在不同的这个社群的事业去帮忙有些人是在餐馆，有些人去帮忙去搞定这个土地场地等等。
But there weren't many jobs, and it was hard to get jobs because the locals didn't really understand us, and a lot of the locals resented us. But it was very hard to get jobs. People didn't want to hire us.
那虽然我们有这么多的事情去做，我们也想去找工作，但是在那时候当地的人其实并不了解我们在做什么，他们甚至是蛮讨厌我们的，所以很多人那时候都找不到一份正职。
So we had to start our own businesses.
所以我们就变得必须要自己去创业自己去给自己工作机会。
And we had a restaurant, we had a health food store, there was a mechanic shop, a couple of small businesses.
那时候我们就也去贩售一些食物然后有去试着开发一些不同的小生意这样子。
And one of the responsibilities that I had was security for the ashram and for the ranch where Yogiji, where Singh lived when he came to Espanola.
那时候呢，我所参与的这个工作之一呢，就是去作为这个保安的这个队员呢，那特别是那时候去帮忙去巡视保卫这个 Yogiji 巴讲所住的他的住处。
So I tried to join the police department.
那时候我也试着要去加入这个当地的这个警局警察部门。
And I was a policeman on an Indian reservation for 2 years.
那时候我在这个那个印度的这个一个单位，那是在那边做了2年的警察。
But they had a new police chief, and he thought that with a beard and turban, I was just too good looking to be a police officer.
那时候来了一个新的一个警长他认为我的这个头巾呢，我的装扮呢，可能对这个警察这个身份来说不太适合。
So we argued back and forth, and I left my badge on his desk. Then I had to find a job.
那我们就争辩了争辩了一阵子之后呢，我就不得不去放弃警察的这个工作，再去另外找工作。
And City Singh Sahib had been urging me to start a security company.
那时候Yogiji巴讲呢，也是强力的呢去敦促我说去建立一个保安公司。
So I started a little guard and patrol company.
那所以我那时候就去创立了一个巡逻保安公司。
And I named it Occult Security.
那我把这个公司的名字叫做Ikyta 保全公司。
And we grew to be the largest privately held security services contractor in the United States.
那最后呢，就慢慢这个公司就发展成在美国最大的一个这个保安方面的公司。
And that also gave me the opportunity to travel with City Singh Sahib all over the world when he went to teach.
那也因为这一份职位的关系呢，他也让我能够在这个Yogiji巴讲去到各地旅行的时候，我都可以陪伴他，随同他。
So I learned from him directly.
也就是说呢，我能够直接的贴身的跟他学习。
And he told stories about how his teacher was with him and how harsh his teacher was with him. He wasn't quite that harsh with me, but he was pretty close.
那他也告诉我一些关于过去呢，他跟随他的老师的时候呢，他的老师们是怎么样严厉的对待他。那当然，Yogiji巴讲不像他的老师那样，但基本上也相差不远了。
And I became known for it to the point that Livtar called me once. And he said, go ahead.
哎呀，那时候呢，我可能就也因为这样的这个经历呢，被许多人知道。那时候有一次Livtar Singh老师呢就叫我，
And he said, Siri Singh Sahib is coming. I think you need to be here.
Livtar Singh老师就应该是打给我，就说呢，这个Yogiji巴讲要来了啊，所以你需要来到现场。
And I said, why? Do you have a security problem?
那我就纳闷说，为什么我要到现场？还是你有这个保安的顾虑吗？
And he said, no, but if you're here, he'll yell at you and he won't yell at me.
那Livtar Singh老师就说没有什么保安的疑虑啦，但是如果你来的话呢，Yogiji巴讲就会对你好，而不是对我好。
Anyway, I learned to keep up and to never give up.
总之呢，我就是像这样的不断的去努力学习啊，然后从不放弃。
And I'm grateful for every second.
那我每一分每一秒都是十分的感激。
And if there's time at the end, I'll read another poem.
那如果最后有时间的话，我会再读另外一首诗。
算了。I don't know who's up.
Yes. Is the poem shorter than the last one, Gurutej?
No, it's a long poem.
Oh,
Oh. Saltwankar?
Yes.
小王老师
Why don't you go ahead with your poem, Gurutej Singh?
Thank you.
Okay, just give me a moment. Give me a moment.
Oh, okay.
yeah. Just letting you know
Em-
that I'm leaving in 5 minutes. I hope I can finish this before I go.
Okay,
Yeah,
you need another translator. Angudkar?
All right, you ready?
Yes.
Okay.
This is called the story. Get
好，
comfortable
了解。
because it takes a few minutes to read it.
OK， 那接下来这首
The
诗有点
immortal
长
God sat in his. Sorry.
啊。好，接下来这首诗有点长，它的名字就是故事。OK。
The story. The immortal God sat in his grace, relaxed in the infinite, his dwelling place. He sang to himself his songs of cheer, though he realized there was no one to hear how sweetly he sang, or to hear his laugh ring. Though he knew he was alone, he continued to sing. No song was repeated, no words were the same, but each song he sang was a song of the name. From those sacred sounds that fell from his mouth, he formed the creation, the north and the south. Those infinite vibrations formed the east and the west. He formed the sun, moon, and stars, by far his best. He created the heavens where the angels would dwell. Then just for a laugh, he created the demons and hell. The deities he created to serve him as tea. Then he formed up the mountains and brewed up the sea. The planets he formed and spun them around stars. He created the Earth, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars. He spilled the galaxies across the carpet of the night. Then, when he was ready, he created the light. Still, he kept the darkness, for each thing has its place. And in his finest master stroke, he created time and space and continued to sing with the joy of his heart, for what he created was the ultimate work of art. The deities he loved as they wandered around, then they stumbled into hell where the demons they found. He laughed when that happened. He was getting bored. And when they started to fight, he laughed till he roared. Still, there was more that he could form and create. So drawing in his breath, he began to meditate. Deities and demons caused him to laugh with mirth, but still he was not complete. So he looked to planet Earth. An idea struck him. He knew what to do. As he regarded the earth green, white, and blue, he studied the creation, the sky, and the sea, then thought to himself, I can't make another me. Yet I'm omnipotent, unlimited, and vast. For all this universe I created so fast. There must be much more to me than I know. I'll create another form. Into the earth I'll go. The deities and demons and all of their chelas made a yatra to earth in the first Kumbh Mela. He divided himself into three, but remained one. I must be great, because look what I've done. One to generate and get this creation to go. One to organize, to sustain and make it grow. One to destroy or deliver. We'll see. What a wonderful creation this is by me. The deities set up shop and began running around, and the demons set to work tearing it down. They fought and they feuded, such a passion play, but their quest for power was getting in the way. Time to complete it, time to make myself whole, time to push further yet maintain self-control, time for a way to return to my primal sound. So only on earth will that chance be found. So taking the mud, he heated it with fire, then threw it through the air, higher and higher. It spun and it grew, creating a great sound, then landed on earth, and the creatures were found. In his deepest expression of love, he gave each of them his sweet, sacred kiss. Then the breath they drew in. They flew through the sky. They crawled over the land. They swam in the sea. Then some started to stand. He smiled when he saw them. He laughed with great joy. I feel so happy, like an innocent young boy. He stopped in his tracks. Now that's the next thing. I'll create mankind and my name will all sing. From within his own heart, he squeezed his divine blood. I would walk on this earth myself if I could. But those who are human will walk in my place. And by calling my name, they'll all see my face. Yes, he thought. Then they'll know they are me. I mean, I'm only one, but it'll be fun to see. Then he turned to the deities. Look here, my dears. These humans you must guide to me through their fears. Bring them together with care, then bring them to me. And don't fight with the demons. They'll get in the way, you see. This is all I ask of you, for I do love you too. So do this with love. You must see it through. So to the human creatures, the deities reached, and they began to guide them. They began to teach the use of the breath and power of the word, those sacred sounds which bring bliss when heard. And mankind grew in consciousness and grace. It was there in the heavens and on earth, in each face. And deep in each human, the infinite power was given, for there behind the navel, the Kundalini was hidden. Then in each human, was to join her Lord. Sorry, just a moment. Yeah, rats. Sorry. Just a moment.
I think it's on the screen.
Then in each human, the serpent rose to join her Lord, and all mankind bowed in reverence to the word. For the sacred Kundalini, the coil of the lover, unwinds and rises, spreading her hood over the arc of the man who to her remains true, giving wisdom and knowledge. Some call them Guru, but this is the right and privilege of each soul, to raise the Kundalini to be complete and whole. Throughout the universe, all the beings sang his praise for the joy of the ages and their spirits to raise. The angels hovered low as mankind began to rise and prayed to a Kalpura to give them the prize of the human incarnation and the gift of the soul, that they could join with him and together be whole. For it is only on the earth that exists the law of karma, and the only way to avoid it is upon the path of dharma. Of all his creation, there was none more dear than the tiny little man whose prayer he would hear. The prayer of the innocent, the prayer of the heart, the prayer of longing caused his blessings to start. Then the deities and demons began to see how innocent and gullible mankind can be. So out of their jealousy, they began to deceive, and eventually mankind began to mislead. Rather than show the way to the infinite creator, the deities gave powers. God could come later. So in the quest of power, mankind lost his way, while the deities rose before him to lead him astray. They told the innocent man that they were the whole, and in the worship of the deities, mankind lost his soul and forgot that he is infinite and to whom he belonged. But the great Kalpura kept singing his song. Time for a change then. It's time to recreate. After all, I am God and my creation is great. I'll transform myself and touch this world of form. I'll take a physical body, and as a human I'll be born. I'll set a clear path. In fact, I'll make two. So whatever the personality, mankind can find his way through. He pulled himself up, he focused in his heart, then loosed that infinite energy and let the next stage start. From the infinite creator, two divine channels grew. One I'll call Jewish, and the other one Hindu. To each he gave his secrets, to each he gave away, for mankind to track his life, so God could watch his play. To each he put his test to challenge every soul, to touch that place of reverence that makes the spirit whole. Have no fear, my children, you'll always have a guide. I'll walk on earth among you. I'm always by your side. In the desert, the Jews walked in circles for 40 years to release them from their bondage and free them from their fears. He gave the 10 Commandments to test them to the hilt, but because they could not keep them, the Jews created guilt. Some became ascetics and lived in caves by trickling streams. They guarded the ancient secrets and were known as the Essenes, who understood the universe and technology of the mind, but they kept those secrets hidden, bringing pain upon mankind. The Hindus understood the order of life for man, those intricate principles by which the universe ran, that divine technology and how it should be applied. But they kept that knowledge secret rather than to guide the people through their lives, to free them from their pain. He kept the masses downtrodden, so only a few would gain. They kept the worship of the deities to pacify the masses, then divided the society into limited castes and classes. God took many incarnations to make his message clear. He walked upon the earth with those he held so dear. Through all of his channels, he had many forms and faces. He appeared to many people in many lands and places. He always showed the way, and he was known by many names. And in each earthly situation, his message remained unchanged. The truth lies there within you, though you look for it outside. Meditate upon my word and forget your foolish pride. Gautam was a Hindu, a privileged and pampered youth who saw how mankind suffered and sought to know the truth of why it is we suffer and what is the way to be free. So he left his pampered life and sat down under a tree to meditate for an answer, to try to ease the pain. And after many long years, enlightenment was what he gained. He became known as the Buddha and walked the middle way, until by his own disciple he was poisoned and betrayed. Through the land of Israel walked a Nazarene who openly taught the people the secrets of the Essenes. He taught the common people, opening up their eyes to the desecration of the temples and corruption of the rabbis. He screamed loudly to the masses, "Heal yourselves, don't look back." Then he was betrayed and stretched like a hide upon a rack. And from within his breaking heart, he cried into the blue, "Forgive them all, my Father, for they don't know what they do." That simple act of compassion from that broken man started a chain reaction that spread throughout all lands. But what is before the people is not what Jesus taught. For another form of control is what the clergy sought. And by the 6th century, the essence of Christianity was lost. Then upon a sea of guilt, her congregations were tossed. So as the course of history stumbled forward with a lurch, the falling Roman Empire became the Holy Catholic Church. Out there in the desert that had been circled by the Jews, a man called Hazrat Muhammad began to spread the news among the tribes of the desert who had been left behind, that the one God stands with us and he is merciful and kind. Allah is how he is called. It's plain for the faithful to see. Spread the news across the world and kill all who disagree. So like flames before the wind, Islam spread across the world. Then into wars of religion, mankind was stupidly hurled. The Hindus attacked the Buddhists and killed them where they stood. The Muslims killed the Hindus and bathed the idols with their blood. The Christians fought the Muslims, sending their own children into war, then turned on their own congregation, spreading the Inquisition far. The monks hid in the monasteries, the yogis hid in their caves, while the priests, pundits, and mullahs sent thousands to their graves. And huge cults of personality were built around those men, the one called avatars, whom God had entered in. Well, he thought to himself, it's time to make a change. Time for some adjustments, time to rearrange, time to start the transition into another age, time for the course of history to turn another page. Then he looked into himself, so let the process start. And he meditated profoundly, probing deep into his heart. All those who I've sent to carry the message in my name left cults of personality, and the truth is lost to their shame. All I ever wanted was for them to worship the sound. That is their true identity and the way that I am found. They cannot worship a man or an idol or a stone. They must direct themselves by that experience which is known. The time for faith is passing. The time for truth has come. Time to give the direct course, to find the fastest way home. I will roll myself into the Shabad Guru, so all who bow can find their way through. The father of the Bedis was given the call to begin to ignite the light of wisdom within the hearts of men. He took the incarnation and laughed out loud at his birth, for he brought the Shabad Guru to life on planet Earth. He stepped into the river and dived deep into his soul and emerged as Guru Nanak with the universe in his control. There is no Hindu or Muslim, for the immortal God is one. Then he began to weave all the channels into a single one. Guru Nanak found one disciple. Through every test he stood true. So the one known as Bhailana became Angad, the Guru. Guru Angad spread the message that Guru Nanak had given and formed the Gurmukhi script so the Shabads could be written. He missed Guru Nanak so painfully that he locked himself away in a tiny little room where he could meditate day to day. Yet without the true Guru, a Sikh has no hope or life. Then his Sikhs found the Guru, and their love removed his strife. There was an old man who for 12 years served the true Guru, then set out in the darkness on a night when a cold wind blew. On his back he carried Guru's water through the dark and cold. Then Guru Angad blessed him, saying, the Guruship now you hold. O honor of the honorless, we call on Guru Amar Das. O hope of the hopeless, we call on Guru Amar Das. O shelter of the shelterless, we call on Guru Amar Das. Strength to the weak and lost is Guru Amar Das. Jatha was an orphan, the streets of Goindwal he walked alone. Then Guru Amar Das blessed him and gave him shelter in his home. He served the Guru's langar with divine humility and grace. Then Guru tested his heart and gave him the Guru's place. Guru Ram Das Suri Sultan gave to the world the Sarovar, where those with a prayer, though beaten at heart, find the hope to start over. Guru of miracles is Guru Ram Das, and his temple is open to all. Then he passed the flame after 7 years, and Arjun answered the call. Guru Arjan took the word and gave it a definite form, for by his hand in perfect rag the Adi Granth was born. Then to turn the destiny to meet the coming age, he sat upon the hot plate, a serene and humble sage. He sacrificed himself to show us the way that's right, then passed on to his son the Shabad Guru's light. So his Guru Arjan Dev quietly met his end. Young Bandi Chor became Guru Hargobind. The master of the world, the master of the soul. This is the way of a Sikh, to be complete and whole. He established the holy occult takat wearing 2 ringing swords to be the temporal world's master and her spiritual lord. Bidi Chand broke Dilbag and Gulbag to Guru's door. And when the Sultan heard it, his army went to war. But the army of Guru Hargobind stood and faced the fight and sent the Mughals running into that cold, dark night. Holy Guru Har Rai was gentle and kind, with a compassionate heart and a humble mind. He kept a standing army, though the animals he loved, for the law of compassion is how the spirit is proved. Then Guru Har Krishan, a beautiful child of 5, kept the radiant light of Guru Nanak alive. There at Bangla Sahib, he took on himself the plague, and the painful suffering of thousands by that sacrifice was saved. For 27 years, Guru Hargobind's son sat in a tiny room and meditated alone. In his secret solitude, he received the light of the Guru, although it was a few weeks before anyone knew. Though Guru Teg Bahadur in his simple grace and peace quietly sacrificed himself to bring religious relief. He bowed and gave his head and merged into the one, then passed the light of Nanak to Gobind Rai, his son. Rishi Dushtaman, as he was known before, was given the hukum by God to go to earth once more, to finish the job and rearrange the flow. But only if you work through me will I go. He created the Khalsa to reign supreme, and through them he became Guru Gobind Singh. He took the Adi Granth and made it the city Guru, to guide his beloved Khalsa ever straight and true. Once again, by the grace of the sword, mankind shall bow only to the word. Then the immortal God looked to the west. Time to bring out of myself the best. Time to unite all the paths I've laid. Time to redeem all the souls I've made. Like oil upon water, Guru's word will spread. So in every land, my precious ones will be led. The time is right now. The new age has arrived, for the way of the Guru is the way to survive. For God in his perfection took a simple stone and polished it through the ages. It is the only one. Then the sacred Kundalini he carefully placed inside and set it on the earth with all his joy and pride. And that gem of a yogi has brought the word of the Guru to all those fallen angels who are simply me and you. Waheguruji Ka Khalsa, Waheguruji Ki Fateh. Satnam.
Now,
So Satwankar.
yes, I didn't imagine it was so long, and I wanted to ask Gurutej in what period of his life he wrote it, and since it's impossible to translate it, if he could give us a couple of words, just a couple of words, as a comment to it, because from him is better, and then maybe we can translate it. And maybe Angatkar can help, or
I think we don't need to translate. 我相信呢，刚才呢，我们不需要翻译了 because we already can feel the rhythm of the poem, rhythm of the poem through our heart. 因为呢，我们刚才呢，都已经感受到老师的诵这个诗的这个音频的所带来的这些感情情感虽然我们不懂英语的，但是都会感受到，这个就是用心的培训。So this is the time, a good opportunity for us to train to use our hearts to listen. 所以呢，这个是刚才呢，如果呢你呢能够用心的感受到老师诵诗的时候的这个美呢，这个音频的美呢，我恭喜你，你就是用心去聆听了。如果你刚才觉得很烦躁的话呢，那你就是用头脑去聆听。Okay. So
Gurutej has something to add, or?
Well, you asked me, I wrote the poem in 1995. So I was in my mid 40s at that time. And it was, it was an interesting time of life. Yogi Bhajan was living in Espanola. I was living in Espanola. And it was, a favorable time for call security. So, I mean, times were good. The poem really tells the story of the creation and the formation of this Dharma and this technology, and how Yogi Bhajan has played such an important role to bring this technology and the golden chain to us.
那老师呢是在1995年呢的时候呢就写这个诗的，那个时候他46岁，而且呢是在创建这个阿卡保安公司现在都是美国呢头3名之中的最大的保安公司那他这个诗呢主要写呢关于这个 Dharma 我们这个组织的怎么样建立，还有呢这个过程里面跟 Guru 之间的这种感应。
Thank you very much.
Satnam, thank you, Gurutej.
Satnam. Satnam,
It was
thank
so
you.
beautiful. 很美的 刚才这个诗的就算你不懂英语的话，你都感受到老师诵诗的时候的这种抑扬顿挫的美好。OK， 好，谢谢。And how about Singh?
Yes, so Saltwan Car, I still see Livtar Singh. Atlanta, he's here. So so maybe we can ask him subtly through our heart if he feels inspired to share something a little more musically, if he feels so called.
Yes,
Yes,
we move more into the Serious Insight Corporation presentation. We have some music and we change the energy. Thank you, Livtar Singh.
Yes, thank you, Livtar Singh.
好，那我们现在呢，就由呢 Livtar Singh 老师呢跟我们一起唱诵现场的唱诵，大家一起唱诵。
Angakar, I sent you the lyrics. Can you just do them real quick? Translate them?
Yes. OK， 那我们呢将会呢唱这首歌当然这个呢是英语那是这个内容呢是大概是这样的。哦，我的灵魂你来也去，通过这个时空来来去去，而且在这个时空中不停的去游晃，你呢会找不到这个路，让你呢能够只有一条路的去走。好，我们大家一起唱这首歌。这首歌是在我们的生命里，你是将不会再唱的爱，用你的心去爱每一个人。我们呢我们再不需要这样去爱。我们大家一起走在这条信仰的路，那你呢就不需要再到处的游荡，给你自己这个咕噜，你就会不需要再到处寻找。我们大家一起祈祷，祈祷，用你的灵魂去祈祷。那你呢就不需要再需要祈祷了。死亡就在我们的脚边，就在这个神的脚边。那你呢只要在神的脚边死亡，那你就永远都不会死亡。这个我们将会唱这首歌的意思就是这样那你们就听着不懂英语的听着什么音就跟着一起唱就可以了。So now
Seems longer in Chinese. Okay. Oh, my soul, you come and you go through the paths of time and space. In useless play, you'll not find the way, so set your course and go. Sing such a song with all your life, you will never have to sing again. Love such a one with all your heart, you will never need to love again. You will never need to love again. walk such a path with all your faith, you will never have to wander again. Give yourself to such a guru, you will never have to see again. Pray such a prayer with all your soul, you will never have to pray again. Die such a death at the feet of God, you will never have to die again. You will never have to die again. Oh, my soul, you come and you go through the paths of time and space. In useless play, you'll not find the way, so set yourself and go. Set yourself and go. Set yourself and go. Satnam, that song was inspired by a line from Kabir in the city of Ramsam.
这首歌呢，我是因为受了Sri Guru Granth Sahib 这个四课的竞争这个咕噜呢的启发而写的一首歌。那
Thank you, Livtar Singh. It's almost 10 o'clock where you live. Thank you for staying up for us and chanting and sharing and offering us all your love and support. Thank you, Livtar Singh. We hope to see you again.
那我们很谢谢感恩Livtar Singh 老师，因为他现在在美国的时间呢，差不多晚上的11点钟了那他都很早睡觉，那他特意呢为了我们这个盛会呢就迟迟的不睡觉那我们很感恩他，希望下回再能见到 Livtar Singh 老师。
Thank you, Livtar Singh.
So now we have Sri Mukta Singh.
那我们现在呢就请Sri Mukta Singh 老师。
Sri Mukta Singh is another legacy student and student of the Sri Singh Sahib Yogi Bhajan.
那 Sri Mukta Singh 老师呢，他也是Yogi Bhajan 的身边的其中一个学生，第一代弟子。
Sri Mukta Singh is a very, very dedicated man to the Sri Singh Sahib's legacy moving forward, and he was very close with him when Yogi Bhajan was in his body.
然后当Yogi Bhajan还在生的时候呢Sri Mukta 老师呢，他一直在他身边做他的助理，还有呢，他一直呢都为这个组织呢奉献去付出的。
Sri Mukta Singh is a a good Yogi Bhajan storyteller.
然后 Sri Mukta 老师呢是一个非常很多故事要分享给大家的。
Also, Sri Mukta Singh, and I believe what he's going to share is he's very well versed and an expert about the SSSC board.
那尤其呢，他因为是关于这个组织上面这个的这个决策权最高的这个董事会的这个故事呢，他会有很丰富，可以给大家分享。
So thank you, Sri Mukta Singh, for joining us. And yes, please share with us what's on your heart, your mind, your spirit, your soul.
所以呢，我们现在呢，就谢谢 Sri Mukta Singh 呢老师用他的智慧，用他的灵魂呢跟我们分享啊。那我们今天所有的这些老师呢，都是第一代弟子他们的故事是让我们呢作为我们一个活生生的教导的典范，希望呢能够给到你们呢一些启发作为一个昆达里尼瑜伽的老师或者是培训师，甚至乎一个学生我们看看 Sri Mukta 老师可以给到我们什么启发。三呢
Where is Sri Mukta? Here we go.
There you go.
Thank you all, Paul, for your kind words.
好，
you want
谢
me
谢
to,
呢，谢谢哈宝星老师怎么对我怎么好
would you like me to talk about Sirius Singh Sab Corporation or about Yogi Bhajan?
I have a PowerPoint, Sri Mukta Singh, and if you want, I can share some slides if you need. Just if you need, you know what is in the PowerPoint that I've prepared. So if you need something, you just tell me, and I can share whenever you need a slide.
And so on. It might be nice if he also mentions briefly his relationship with the Siri Singh Sab as being one of the three musketeers.
Well, briefly about the Sirius Singh Sab Corporation. Prior to the formation of the Sirius Singh Sab Corporation, Yogi Bhajan made all the vital and important decisions about our Dharma and about the businesses, the profits, the non-profits. He created all of it, and he directed it himself.
那我们现在呢，大家现在看到的，我们这个昆达里尼瑜伽的这个组织，世界性的组织呢，国际的组织呢，其实是有这个一个董事会总部的董事会呢来决定。但是在这个董事会建立之前呢，所有一切都是所有的组织呢都是由Yogi Bhajan呢亲手呢创建，还有呢所有的重要的决定呢都是由Yogi Bhajan来决定的。
So in preparation of him leaving his body, he created the Sirius Singh Sab Corporation. It was designed to carry on the legacy that he built.
那当他呢知道自己呢就快离开人世的时候，Yogi Bhajan呢就特意呢创建了这个董事会来管理呢所有的组织，然后呢就可以呢把他的使命呢他的传承呢继续下去。
He created it in the mid-90s, and then upon his oncoming passing of on this planet in 2003, he created a body called Unto Infinity.
然后呢，他呢在2003年呢就往生，但是他在90年代呢就首先呢创建了一个组织叫无限的团结。
And then from that, that was a working body to help the businesses, grow and live on after his passing.
然后呢，这个组织呢，主要呢是在管理这个基金会所创建的这些就是这些生意。然后养活这个基金会，然后呢，让这个基金会有财政方面呢健全呢，继续把这个传承所有一切呢能够带下去。
And there were many different, I don't know how you translate this, but let's say permutations and combinations of all different things. He created different boards, and this board and that board. It's boring to go through all of them, but he created different entities to try to help pass on the legacy.
那因为呢，这个基金会呢，他就是把 Yogi Bhajan 把这个基金会呢创建很多不牟利的机构，也有很多牟利的机构，然后把这个财政呢，把这个能量呢能够呢滚动下去，然后把这个传承继续下去，还有他的使命为人类创建的使命呢能够继续下去。
So all these boards he created, and then they interacted with each other. Some were more successful than others, some less successful, and the Sirius Singh Corporation wasn't too prominent until much later. Around 2010.
然后呢，在90年代创建的这一个母公司把这个财政呢，基金会的财政呢，能够让所有的Yogi Bhajan 创建的不牟利的机构呢，能够呢运作起来。但是呢，因为发展的很快，而且呢发展的很多。然后服务的很多，所以呢，就变成了每一个组织呢，小的组织呢都有自己的董事会。直到呢2010年呢Yogi Bhajan 呢决定就把这个SSC Board 这个一个最高的决策的董事会呢创建起来。
So the leaders and interested parties got together and we formed a governance committee, and we tried to figure out how to proceed into the future and how to elect our people to be on the Sirius Singh Sabad Corporation. So we formed this governance committee, of which I was part of that.
然后呢，老师呢是这个第一个财政的组织的一份子，然后当这个母公司的这个董事会建立的时候，他们这个旧的这个财政的组织呢，就变成一个就是管的这个董事会的一个组织。所以呢，大家呢知道我们这个组织是很国际性，而且是非常庞大的。
So in 2012, we had our first election, and we opened it up to the Sangit and people who are doing yoga and the Sangit, and we voted on certain candidates, and who got the most votes were put in.
那所以呢，在2012年开始呢，我们就有这个选举这个出来这个流程出来，让呢这些就是练习这个昆达里尼瑜伽的人，还有呢这些一直在组织工作的这些有决策权的这些干部能够来投票。
And just to complete this part of the story, prior to that, we had lawsuits and different things happened. People took advantage, stole money, did different things. So it took all that time to get rid of these people in the courts. And so by that time, then we could do our own election by 2012.
那其实呢，在2012年之前呢，在这个能够投票 去选这个董事的时候，之前呢，其实呢也跟其他的很多灵修的团体呢都有，或者是组织都有发生的，就是有一些个别的人呢，他会动用这个组织的钱呢，或者是所以呢有这个官司啊等等等等。
So I'm going to leave the story because there's a lot that occurred after that, but I don't want to spend the whole time talking about Siri Singh Saab Corporation. I prefer to talk about some other things, and I'll just leave that part of the story in place. And now, as you know, you read what the Siri Singh Saab is controlling. They control all the entities, 3HO, KRI, Yogiji, Call Security, Mitty Pitty Academy, everything. They're the top. They're on top of all that, and they control all these different things. So they're very important institutions that they are.
那我们呢就讲到2012年开始呢，那这个董事会是好像我们央企中国的这个央企的最高的这个决策权的董事会呢，是管理所有的这些组织包括 KRI 我们熟悉的 KRI 然后 3HO 还有呢 Milipili 在印度的学校，还有 Aka Security 就是这个保安公司，还有呢 Yogiji 这个瑜伽茶公司等等等等
So if you're interested, just study the chart if you have an interest, but they're very important because they make all the major decisions about what happens in terms of the future of our Dharma.
那当然呢，大家呢现在可能当下只是觉得有一个瑜伽馆呢已经很了不起了但是呢我们宽达里的瑜伽呢是全球性一个非常庞大的一个组织，所以呢这个现在大家可能听到最近就说会有选举董事会的选举，所以呢这个呢在我们现在当下呢可能呢是影响到呢整个全球性的这个组织的方向。
As an aside, I'll just mention like Sikh Dharma internationally created early on, and the ministry comes from Sikh Dharma International. We have about 300 ministers, and that I'm just giving you like an example of some of the entities, what they do, what their function is.
那其实呢，这个组织呢，我们这个组织呢是非常庞大，还有呢是有它的复杂性，还有呢很多小的组织，其中一个呢就叫 Khalsa Council 就是这个社科的已经是社科教的这些领袖在这个组织里面的领袖，就好像我们中国大陆的所谓的干部还有呢这个党员这个组织。
And just to finish it up, they're elected to 5-year terms on the Siri Singh Saab Corp, and they stagger it every 2.5 years. Half of the people have to run for re-election. That's how it's structured. It's a 5-year term.
然后呢，每一个董事呢，都是5年的时间。然后呢，但是呢，在5年之内呢，每2年半呢，就要再选举一次的。
Okay. So I'd like to switch subjects now. Stop at that point because I could spend the whole time just talking about that, but I think you might be more interested or equally interested in my involvement with Yogi Bhajan. He was the love of my life. I have to say that right out.
那我们呢，只是呢，刚才呢，稍微呢，告诉中国的还有台湾的老师，还有呢，宽达履历瑜伽练习者关于这个组织有一些概念。然后呢，现在呢，我们呢就讲一下我自己跟Yogi Bhajan的关系。当然， Yogi Bhajan 是我的挚爱。
He became my teacher. He was my father. And eventually he became my friend too.
那他是我的，他可以说是我的父亲，我的老师啊，还有我的兄弟啊。
And the process by which this happened, which is what every devoted student goes through, you have to have certain qualities to be able to go through this little journey with him. You need endurance. He called it perpetual endurance. You need love of the master, and you have to be willing to give your head, which means your ego, and just serve the master. That's what it's required if you want to go all the way with him.
那其实作为呢 Yogi Bhajan 的第一代弟子呢，是有一个要求的，是要求呢是完全的臣服，完全的愿意付出。就是说，连这个就是头要砍下来都要付出。其实这个意思是，要把自己的假我呢完全放下，完全服务，完全的付出的。
He compares the relationship like a chisel with a stone, and he chisels away the stone, and it's like he compares it to carbon that's pressurized over millions of years to create a diamond. That's how he talks about it.
然后呢，能够做到Yogi Bhajan 身边的第一代弟子呢，还要呢除了要有这份心意哈，愿意付出，完全臣服的这份心之外呢，还要受到种种的考验。那 Yogi Bhajan 常常说呢，要成为 diamond 哈，要成为钻石呢，首先呢就要受到压力哈，压力越大，这个出来的这个钻石呢就越漂亮，越完美。
And once you have the diamond, that's not enough. You have to make the diamond shine. You have to create facets on the diamond, chip away and create facets so it shines brightness. That's the other aspect of that.
那所以呢，这个还有呢，能够已经成为了这个 diamond 哈，这个钻石呢都不够，因为呢，我们也还要把自己作为一个钻石呢，要把它发亮、发光、发亮。
It's a very intimate and sacred relationship between the master and the student. I don't think there's anything like it on the planet, actually. It is so intimate because it gets to your core being and he touches your soul. And once that happens, then the universe opens up at that point.
当然了，我呢体验过跟这个大师哈 Yogi Bhajan 的关系，这种关系是非常亲密，亲密到呢是可以说呢，他完全是与我的灵魂沟通。因为呢，当他跟我灵魂沟通的时候，整个宇宙都打开了，不是在世界上根本就绝无仅有的这个体验。
So to test me, he put me through many tests over many years. I met him in 1974, and I was with him the last 13 years of his life on the planet every day, last 13 years.
然后呢，我呢，1974年呢已经遇到他，然后呢就在整13年呢，在他身边24小时7天。每天都在他身边。
See, in life you have karma and samskars. Karma is what you produce, action, reaction on this planet. Samskars are the imprints of other lifetimes that come. So you have the confluence, I don't know, you understand, I think that word, okay. The confluence of those two meeting that create all your relationships, who you meet, everything you have to work through in this lifetime.
那大家都知道哈，我们呢个人的业力就是在这个地球上这个人生里面所做的所有的事情就是所做出的反应哈。 所谓的种种的反应，这些叫业力哈。但是呢，还有一种业力呢是生生世世过来的。那这个生生世世过来的业力，跟现在当下这个人生产生的业力，那他们会大家一起呢融合在一起呢，来产生种种的我们人与人之间的关系啊，人事物的关系，种种的关系，还有种种的功课需要我们去完成的。
You have to learn to surrender to the master, and once that happens, then the karma surrenders, and the person can rise at that point.
那然后在这条传承的路哈，我们中国人是比较容易理解的，都是如果我们能够臣服于我们的大师哈，我们的老师，那我们的这种生生世世过来的业力，还有自己现在当下创造的业力，都会完全呢是得到整理的。
So what he really does is really put you into your own unknown. Everybody has a different unknown that they have to work out, and he would test you by putting you into situations that you have to figure out how best in a conscious way to rise above the challenge that he presented to you.
那所以呢，我跟在 Yogiji 的身边呢，他作为我的老师呢，他呢就是给我种种的挑战，让我呢能够从挑战中呢去把我这种业力的这些关系、这些功课把它呢做好，而且呢从做好这些功课，可以呢把我的觉知提升，成为更好的一个人。
Bye, Gurutej. Thank you for coming. So basically, once you surrender to the teacher, then your duality leaves you, and you follow the dictates of the teacher. And then there's no duality. It's just service, 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 service. So when I was with him, he had me do whatever he wanted me to do. He would sometimes call me up at 2, 3 in the morning and say something, do this, do that. Or, you know, I would go over 1 o'clock in the afternoon and bring food for everybody. That was part of my duty. And then I would help him with other things, with personal needs and all kinds of different things. And it was a challenge every single day, because when you go in there, he would always, wasn't like he was angry, or he would always test you and elevate you at the same time.
那其实在这条路上跟着怎么伟大的老师呢，其实真的不容易每一天呢都是每一分每一秒都是他都会给你呢这个挑战譬如说可以呢半夜3点钟呢，他叫我呢去服务去服务，就是煮一些东西或者是怎么样给一些人一些东西，或者是下午几点钟过去，反正就很多很多的服务都是要磨灭我们的这个假我，而且呢要臣服于这一个传承，因为呢只有臣服能够去把我们的假我放下去服务无论什么情况去服务臣服的话，我们才可以的觉知得到提升。
You learn to not judge anything. You have an opinion, you analyze situations, and you express them when we talked with each other. And but you didn't judge anybody. You just let them be and let them go through what they had to go through in their own karmic way with him. And that was a test, because everybody was different. Everybody had different issues, and you had to deal with everybody because you're around the master and he's being served by everybody. So you have to work with them, through them, around them sometimes. You had to serve him no matter what. So it was a challenge for me because I started out not liking the people, particularly around him, but I learned to deal with them, and I knew that's what he wanted. So I was intent on serving him by serving the people around him as well, the staff people.
然后呢，大家都知道哈，也听过这些老师说过，Yogi Bhajan 呢是可以看到每个人的磁场的，所以呢，他会看到每个人需要做什么功课，然后呢，他呢就会给这个人一些挑战，让他去服务，要把假我磨灭他的假我，然后呢，但是每个人呢都有不同的功课。所以呢，在老师Sri Mukta 老师来说呢，是非常困难的，是尤其呢，在他身边，在 Yogi Bhajan 身边的很多工作人员呢，他自己本身不喜欢，但是都要跟这些人呢合作，要跟他们做事情。
I'll tell like a silly story, and not silly, but these are the kind of things you go through. We're at the pool. There's a pool there, and some, we're sitting around with the Sirius Sab, and some people decided to throw people into the pool. Some of the young people decided just to take some of the people and just throw them into the pool, and that's what they did.
然后呢，我分享一个故事给大家，就是有一天呢，我们坐在一个游泳池的旁边跟Yogi Bhajan，然后呢，我们这些年轻人呢就决定呢就去玩了，就把某一个人呢就抛下去抛下这个游泳池里面。
So we're sitting around, and I'm thinking what to do. Personally, do I fight with them physically, or what do I do? And I'm in full bana, and they threw a bunch of people into the pool with full bana, everything. And I'm thinking, what do I do? What's the conscious thing to do? Is it to start a fight, a fist fight, or what do I do? And I decided that we were at a table. Sirius Sab, Yogi Bhajan was at a different table. And we were at a table. I was with my friends and some other people, and I said, let's lock arms like this. You can't see me, but like this. Yeah. And instead of fighting with them, I said they won't be able to break our grip. And that's what happened. They couldn't break the grip. And then finally, I won't mention who, one of the people that was throwing them into the pool got ruptured his tendon in his leg. And I won't mention who it is, but he ruptured his tendon, one of the instigators of this whole event. And at the end of it, we were leaving. I was doing security for the Sirius Sab, so I was right next to him. I would help him walk and go to the car or walk into the dome where he lived. And he just put his arm around me and said, "Good job, good job."
然后呢，虽然有一班年轻人呢都想呢就玩呢就要把人呢抛进水里面，另外一班呢就好像Sri Mukta 老师的，他们就不要，因为他们大家都穿的很好的，穿到这些衣服，然后还包着头，然后呢这班不想就是给他其实另外一班抛到水里面的，他们说好，我们怎么样做可以呢？让这些人不能把我们抛下去。然后他后来呢 Sri Mukta 老师呢想到，倒不如呢我们这样手花的手很强大的花着围一个圈，然后呢他们就不能动我们，那我们就不会给他们抛下水了。然后后来呢就终于呢就没有被抛下水，然后最后呢 Yogi Bhajan 呢这个活动完了之后 Yogi Bhajan 在他旁边的时候就抱着他搭着他的膊头在肩膀说你做得好。
And he never tried to stop it. He just watched the whole thing unfold because he wanted to see what everybody would do in this whole play, And that's what he was like.
然后呢 Yogi Bhajan 整个过程都看到，但是他没有给任何的意见，也没有阻止他们怎么样做，只是呢在看着他们怎么样做。其实Sri Mukta 老师想告诉我们呢 Yogi Bhajan 就是这样，他从来不会批判任何人，而且呢也虽然他知道每个人要做的功课，但是他都让每一个人随着他们自己走这个过程，没有评判。
That's about all I have to say. I mean, I could go on and on. I don't know how many stories you want to hear. I just told one little story, but I'll just say that the most intimate and beautiful times I had with him when I was alone with him in the dome, where he resided and he did his business. He slept there, and was when we would go to sleep. He'd be in his bed, I'd be on the couch, just two of us in the room, and we would both go to sleep. He would lay down, start snoring, or he would go to sleep, and I would do the same thing. And healing always happened when that happened with me. He took me to a different plane, and I could feel him healing me all the time. I could technically talk about it, but we could talk about it some other time. But he was healing me, and it was so intimate and beautiful. And he was such a monumental figure. I mean, there's nobody like him I ever met. And I've met governors, I met 3 presidents, I've met business leaders, I met all kinds of people with him. And there's nobody even like nobody close to where he was in his consciousness. It was just a beautiful, beautiful man. And that doesn't describe him, just saying that, but that's all I can say in the human language. So I think I'll end there because I think the time might be short, and there's many more stories, but we'll just save it for another time. But thank you.
我呢就有一个分享一个小故事，因为呢如果去过夏季瑜伽节的这个 Yogi Bhajan 的农场的老师或者同学呢都知道，在这个农场里面呢有一个小屋是圆圆的，这个圆形的这个小屋呢是 Yogi Bhajan 呢自己呢在里面住，而且呢在里面冥想的地方。然后常常呢Sri Mukta 老师呢都跟Yogi Bhajan 呢一起呢在这个小屋子里面，这个圆形的小屋子里面呢就安排他呢去睡觉，就是安排 Yogi Bhajan 睡觉。然后呢 Sri Mukta 老师说呢，那他就是一个平常人一样，睡觉的时候都会打呼噜，但是呢虽然他打呼噜
I want to thank Satwankar and Angudkar for putting this whole thing together, and I want to thank everybody who's attended. I had the blessing to have him in physical form, and I admire all of you that you could keep up and keep moving into this Dharma and the yoga that he gave us, and not have him in his physical form. And I bow to you, and I just wish you the best.
然后呢let me finish the story that you told me. And then 然后呢他呢就虽然他打呼噜Yogi Bhajan 在打呼噜，但是呢他Sri Mukta 老师呢是永远呢都感受到他其实老师在疗愈他，这个是在通过空间的疗愈他，但是他说根本就没办法用言语了来就去形容，因为他每时每刻都在疗愈他，通过时空。然后呢Sri Mukta 老师呢说呢，很感恩你们这次来聆听他们整个多的老师的这个的分享会，然后呢就希望你们呢不单只是继续练习这个传承的这个Kriya 冥想，但是呢还是希望你们能够呢继续的在这条这个正法的路上，正法的传承上呢继续下去。 所以他非常感恩你们，谢谢你们，三浪。
Sanam blessings.
谢谢三浪。
Thank you,
Thank you, Mukta. And now we're going to move on to Siri Pritam of Yuba City, California, USA.
那现在呢，我们有在 Siri Pritam 老师从加州来的
Siri Pritam is also another legacy, longtime legacy student and lover and follower and supporter of the Sri Singh Sab Yogi Bhajan.
那 Siri Pritam 老师呢，他也是一样是可以说呢是其中活生生的典范，在这个正法的路上的典范，一直都是在 Yogi Bhajan 的旁边支持这个整个组织。
Sri Pritam is presently she's a Kundalini yoga instructor.
然后呢，现在Siri Pritam 老师呢也是一位老师
Siri Pritam also, her children went to Nitty Pitty Academy, the school of Yogi Bhajan in India.
然后呢他的3个孩子呢也是在Yogi Bhajan 在印度建立的这个 Nitty Pitty 的这个学校读书受教育。
And so I'll turn it over to you, Siri Pritam, and you can share what you're going to share about your relationship with the Yogi Bhajan or how you came to the Dharma or whatever else is on your heart, spirit, soul, and mind.
Satanam. Well, it's a hard act to follow here.
I'll let her translate what's happening.
I will, Angikar, I will be aware of your duty to translate. But first of all, I would like to say what Sri Mukta said. It's very touching to see people here in a different country who follow the call of their soul and who have resonate with this path. I find it touches me very deeply.
我今天呢是非常非常的感动，因为感动呢是看到不同的国家的人呢能够呢跟着他们灵魂的呼唤来到走上这个正法的传承这条路，所以非常感动。
And it's all I can say to you after 4.5 decades. It's a most beautiful path, and most of all, it works. That's the thing. Because these days, when after 40 years, if I go teach a yoga class, it's the same as it was many years ago. People are elevated. You touch their soul, and they will never forget that. And that is such an, like you also, I have many lives. I have physical therapy. I do this, I do that. But when I teach yoga, it's the most pure encounter. You're not trying to sell anything. You're not trying to talk anybody into anything. You're just sharing that spirit. So I really, like I said, I'm very touched that you all have heard the call of your soul and that you're trying to follow the call of your soul on this beautiful path. Those of us who've spoken before, I mean, we're literally grabbed by our neck and brought here because Yogi Bhajan was there in person. And just like Sri Mukta, all I can say, I came to this path, I came home, I've never looked back. It's been, I've never really had a conflict. It's just been my path in this lifetime. And I'm endlessly thankful for that. I just wanted to state that. And like Sri Mukta and the others, I have lots of stories. I'm a mother, a grandmother. I've hosted, Yogi Bhajan, Sri Singh Sab, and so much has happened. He married me the first time. And so what I feel time is of essence. All you might have to, go places, and we've been here for a while. Let me just share with you, I'm currently serving on the Sri Singh Sab core board for the second time. And obviously elections are coming up, but we're not talking about that right now. I just want to say, yes, it is the most important board and we make all the decisions, but it also depends on the two sides. It's a real power balance happening right now. And it's also a really crucial time in our Dharma because as you heard, Yogi Bhajan was a one-man show. He made all the decisions. He's been gone almost 20 years. We're really having to relearn how to govern ourselves. It's a long process. And we're also at the crossroads when it comes to the teachings of Yogi Bhajan, you know, how to keep them in their own. Oh my God, I went on.
I'm so sorry, Sir. Yes, may I just translate first? Okay. Sir Pritam 老师说呢，在他过去50年的练习哈，这个潘达里利瑜伽，他很开心，他到现在都是非常的感恩能够走上这条路，因为呢就算练了50年了，他每一次他说他跟你们一样，也有家庭，也有自己的事业很多事情要办。但是每一次在他教学的时候，他就感觉到这种纯粹性而且呢，这个技术，这个潘达里利瑜伽的技术，这个纯粹性，而且呢，每一次就算无论是他第一次教学，或者是到现在教学，每一次都很多人都得到提升，很多人的生命得到改变，所以而且呢，在这个教学的过程，他说跟你们一样我从来都不会去硬推销这个潘达里利瑜伽，只是很自然的去服务的心去教导就让每个人呢去走他自己的路这个过程是非常美的。然后呢他还有呢，他现在呢当下呢就是这个董事会的董事就是刚才说的现在呢其实是蛮就是重要的一个时刻呢，是需要大家去支持这个传承这个 Yogi Bhajan 一手创造的传承呢让一直带下去，向着他这个方向带下去。谢谢。
That's it. Oh my God, I'm having to. Sorry that I forgot. But my mission, as I see it, is to guard the legacy of Yogi Bhajan, to guard the teachings in their pure form, because I feel we owe it to all students, we owe it to the world, and we owe it to the future. And that there's 300 details that happen each meeting, but that's my guiding light.
然后呢，老师呢，其实呢，每一天他在董事会开会呢，其实都是把持，还有呢，保护好呢 Yogi Bhajan 的教导，这个传承的纯粹性能够继续下去，不会受到污染或者是受到破坏虽然是很忙虽然是很困难，但是呢，他觉得非常有意思，而且非常美。
And the organization, of course, as you know, has been thrown a curveball with, these allegations. But when you look at the big picture of things, it is such an immense, it's such a cosmic force that came to us, such an immense spiritual teachings that we need to keep going. We need to maintain the teachings and look at it in terms of 1,000 years. We're here now. It's for us to preserve it, and so that you and your children and grandchildren and those who come after us can deeply benefit from what we have been able to experience, this gift of a lifetime.
那现在呢，当下呢，当然呢，每个时代都有所改变。现在当下呢，就有很多的改变也有很多的就是就是不真实的报道关于Yogi Bhajan但是我们现在当下最重要的是能够把这个传承这教导 Yogi Bhajan 的教导，还有他建立的这个组织呢纯粹的性呢把它保存，还有呢能够呢一直传下去，直到你的孩子你的孩子的孩子孩子的孩子都可以呢得到这个传承的好处。
And before I will not speak much longer, I just wanted to say, since I have this opportunity to be here with you, to also remember Sikh Dharma, because we're Kundalini yoga teachers and we learn about the Shabbat, we learn about the mantras, and the mantras lead to the Shabbat, and the Shabbats then eventually lead to the Sikh way of life. And like, I come from Germany, and at this time, Germany doesn't want to have anything to do with anything religious because of their past history, which is very unfortunate, because it's such a richness in that, because it's like the steps of consciousness, because you have to have something as you go on spiritually through your Kundalini yoga, your meditation, your mantras, your Shabbat. So keep in mind that the Sikh Dharma holds very beautiful truths that can only serve you. Satanam.
那我呢就不会再讲太多，只是呢想呢分享给大家呢，就是我们现在每一天的唱诵的这些曼陀罗，还有这些这个教导呢，都是很多，尤其是这个曼陀罗呢，都是源于这个四科的这个Sri Guru Granth Sahib，还有呢这个 Shabad Guru 这个音流这些经文里面而且呢这个经文呢不是只是经文这么简单，还会呢带出四科的这种生活方式都是因为有这个四科的正法的这个生活的方式，让我们呢能够把这个现在的这个传承昆达里尼瑜伽的传承呢更加的人性化，更加的圆满。我呢是从德国过来的，在德国根本呢就不会接受另外一种宗教，但是这个不是一个宗教，只是一个人类的觉知的一个生活方式然后呢让我们呢更加的健康快乐还有呢圆满。So now， 谢谢。
And just lastly, I want to say, all of you here and present right now, that this path is such a path of expansion. It really expands you. It gives you prosperity. Your prayers give you what you are looking for. And just like I was many years ago, just a young woman from Germany who had no clue what this was all about, and the path, the Dharma, the teachings brought me here now. And I'm now definitely of the past, but you all are the beginning and the now. So please keep that in mind. It's very powerful, and you'll be surprised where you can get in life. Anyways, Satanam, it was a pleasure and to be with you, and a blessing, and hopefully we'll meet again. Satanam.
Satanam 谢谢我呢真的这次能够跟你们见面，我非常觉得是非常有福气。我最后一句能够跟你们分享的是记住这个四科的正法，它不是一个宗教，是一个人类学，人类的一个生活方式，而且它呢会让我们呢能够不停的去扩展。我记得我刚刚开始接触这个传承的时候，我只是一个很年轻什么都没有的一个女生，从德国过来，但是我现在拥有自己的家庭，拥有自己的事业、公司、生意，还有呢在这个董事会能够做这个董事，那所以呢它不停的扩展我们，让我们自己本身都意想不到的扩展。那谢谢大家。
Satnam, and thank you very much, Sri Pritam. And now thank you. And now we're going to move on to Darshan Singh Khalsa from Virginia, USA.
那现在呢，我们呢就是看看 Darshan Singh 老师
Darshan Singh is a longtime student of Yogi Bhajan also.
然后呢 Darshan Singh 呢也是Yogi Bhajan 的身边的长期的学生。
Darshan Singh has a deep passion for supporting and working to protect and preserve Yogi Bhajan, the Sri Singh Sab's teachings now for his children and grandchildren, and for future generations.
然后呢Darshan Singh 老师呢也是一样的哈，跟所有第一代弟子，大部分的第一代弟子一样，都是付出了很多，也去保全这个教导，还有这个传承的纯粹性，还有这个传承。
Darshan Singh is an acupuncturist by trade. He's also an engineer, and he also has a job to keep his wife happy.
那Darshan Singh 老师呢，他本身呢是一个工程师，还有呢，他是一个针灸师哈说，而且呢，Darshan老师说呢，他还有另外一个责任呢，是让他的老婆呢开心。
And before Darshan Singh speaks, I'd really like to thank him for coming tonight to our meeting, our Taiwan meeting, as he is in California, away from his home on a family vacation. But he's very dedicated and served hundreds, if not thousands of hours in the last couple of years, helping to put together with Sri Mukta Singh this meeting. Without Sri Mukta Singh and Darshan Singh, this meeting and what's happening wouldn't be manifesting. So thank you to Darshan Singh and Sri Mukta for all of their work in the last 2.5 years.
然后呢，我呢在这边也是感恩Darshan Singh 老师呢，他呢现在呢本来是跟他的家人呢度假的，他都特意来这边分享他的故事，还有他的对跟这边 budget 的故事，还有这条路上的故事。
So Darshan Singh, the floor is over to you and what you're sharing from your mind, your spirit, your heart, and your soul for our group.
Well, thank you, Harpal Singh. I wanted to, there's one thing I wanted to talk about. I could tell some stories myself, but I'm a very practical person. So, and I want to explain to you a little about how you can become a voter.
那我呢可以跟大家分享很多故事，我呢就比较实在现在呢可能你听到关于这个将会有这个选举这个董事会的选举，我就跟大家说一说怎么样成为这个选举的人。
And so Kaur, if you could put a couple of those slides on, and by the way,
yes,
Shabad was here. And he will be ready to play in a little while.
Yes, sure. Thank you. Now Kaur is also.
Okay. Oh, good.
Contacting him. Thank you so much.
So,
well,
basically,
here we go.
Okay. As others have explained to you, the Sri Singh Sab Corporation inherited all of Sri Singh Sab's Yogi Bhajan's legal authority, but did not, his wisdom, we all have to discover on our own.
那大家都听到我们大家的分享是Yogi Bhajan 呢，他的智慧呢是需要我们每一个人自己去探讨的。
So the Sri Singh Sab Corporation the board is an elected position.
那这个董事会呢是需要选举来选这些董事的。
And the way the rules are set up, if you have been involved with Kundalini Yoga or Sikh Dharma and the community for 7 years, you can become eligible to vote.
然后呢，如果你在这个昆达里尼瑜伽这条路就比较活跃的7年的话呢，连续7年的话，你就有这个权利去投票。
Thank you. As Sri Mukta explained a little, the Sri Singh Sab Corporation has much power over the other organizations, KRI and 3HO, it hasn't been using it. We are intending to elect some people who will try and manifest the Siri Singh Sab spirit.
那大家都知道哈，已经听过了，这个董事会呢是完全控制整个组织，包括 KRI 3HO 你们熟悉的，包括教师协会的这个方向。那现在呢，我们呢就是有呢一般这个董事呢是要坚持把这个 Yogi Bhajan 的这个传承。这个纯粹性继续下去的。
Yes, thank you. Now, this material is a little complicated. I think the best plan is that if you have 7 years of experience, contact Satwan Kaur of Taiwan, and then she will get your contact information, and we will further explain to you how you become a voter. It's a little complicated, but.
那如果呢，你有意愿呢去做这个投票，想去投票的话呢，支持这个Yogi Bhajan 的教导，还有传承能够纯粹的一起下去的话，在台湾的朋友呢，你可以呢找呢跟萨万卡联系。
So we very much, we are an international organization. We very much want your participation. The more people of consciousness who participate, the better the results will be.
我认为呢，我们是一个国际的组织哈，我们希望全球呢都不同的国家的家人呢都能够呢尤其是有觉知的家人呢都能够参与这个投票，让我们的这个方向全球的组织的方向能够呢把这个 Yogi Bhajan 的纯粹性这个教导呢传承下去。
Yes, so we will be happy to share all this information with you, but you need to contact Satwan Kaur and give her your information.
那如果你有意愿去投票的话呢，你就跟萨万卡台湾的跟萨万卡老师呢联系，他会更清楚的告诉你怎么样做。
And so in the interest of time, I will be around later to answer questions, but I think we have 2 more speakers, and I will hold what I say for now.
那因为呢还有呢2位老师呢还会跟大家分享哈，所以呢我呢就在这边分享为止。好，谢谢大家。So now, thank you, Darshan.
Darshan Singh, I have a request.
Yes.
I would like you to share the story with our group when I was just praying. Share the story with our group of when you were walking with the Siri Singh Sab and he was having a hard time walking.
Right.
And how you remember that story? Can you please share that with our group?
I would be happy to. So in Siri Singh Sab's later years, he could not walk very well, but I had an experience with him where I was helping him down some stairs at the Orlando ashram at winter solstice time. And he was laughing and laughing. And what he said to me was, maybe I should let Angad Kaur. I'm sorry.
No problem. 本来呢就Darshan Singh老师呢要走的，但是呢Harpo Singh老师说不行，你要分享一下你跟Yogi Bhajan 的一些故事。有其中一个呢就是在Yogi Bhajan 的后面的时间呢，他的身体不大好， 然后呢他不走路呢都有困难，然后Darshan Singh老师刚刚好呢就在这个道场要服务他所以呢就跟要搀扶的他一起走路。
So I was helping him down the stairs, and he was laughing and laughing. And he said, once I was a champion soccer player. Now I can hardly walk down the stairs.
然后呢 Yogi Bhajan 呢跟一般的老人家一样呢，就跟很大笑了一边走路的时候很困难，都一边笑。他说我从前呢是足球的见证，就是打足球很棒的，现在连走路都走不来。
And that was very revealing to me, that he was not at all attached to his body or any particular result. He was here to teach.
然后呢，在我那个当下听到他这样说呢，我呢就意会到我的老师呢，他对他的自己的身体呢完全放下他就算这么困难，他一样的去服务每一个人，还是见每一个人。
And in my later career as a healer, I've used that lesson many times and shared it with many patients.
我呢就因为有这个体验，然后因为我呢是给人家针灸然后在针灸的过程里面，我也跟我的顾客说了，就是的病人说这个故事。
So thank you. It's been my pleasure to be with you, and please be sure to send your information to Satwankar if you've been here for 7 years and would like to vote for people of consciousness on the Siri Singh Sab Corporation.
好，我谢谢大家然后呢如果你们有意愿呢去投票的，请跟Satwankar老师联系尤其呢是有觉知的家人，我们希望你们的参与。
Thank you, Darshan Singh.
Okay, so now we will move on to Namkar. Right, Satwankar?
Yes.
现在呢我们呢就是请Namkar 老师跟我们分享。
Namkar, as the rest of our speakers today, she lives in California, and she is another legacy student of the Sri Singh Sab Yogi Bhajan.
然后呢 Namkar 呢也是我其中一位呢常常在 Yogi Bhajan 身边的这个第一代弟子
In the 19...
Namkar, hold on, Namkar. I'm doing an introduction. One second. Namkar was a foundational person in the creation of creating the KRI Kundalini Research Institute.
然后呢 Namkar 老师呢是创建KRI 的其中一份子，重要的元老
So Namkar, I'll pass it over to you. Thank you for joining us, and please share what's on your mind, heart, and soul for our Taiwanese group.
Thank you, Satnam.
Satnam.
Well, a funny story, it just occurred to me.
Namkar.
I forgot to unmute, sorry. Okay, I'm going to be talking about the start of IKYTA and international teacher training.
我将会呢跟大家分享关于这个国际教师协会，还有呢这个关于这个教师培训。
And Satwan's role in helping me in the early days.
Satwankar 呢老师呢也呢在很早的时候呢帮Namkar 去做这个工作。
But first I wanted to share a little story I just thought of. I was invited at one point to go to Italy.
然后呢，我刚刚才想起一个故事，就是我有一个机会呢，因缘呢，就被邀请到这个意大利。
As the executive director of IKYTA, and there were many yoga centers in Rome, and each center wanted me to come and teach a class in their center. So I had 6 classes in a row to teach.
然后呢，那一次呢，去意大利呢，我是以呢国际教师协会的这个董事呢去意大利，然后在意大利呢有6个我们的家人的团队呢邀请我去教学。所以我差不多要一次性教6个团队。
And upon arriving there, I became extremely ill with a cold and a cough and blowing my nose constantly. Very, very unusual, but just totally clogged up and feeling miserable.
然后呢，我到达这个意大利的时候，就刚刚好，不知道为什么我就感冒了，然后呢，我的鼻都堵了，都非常糟糕哈。
And I didn't want to let anyone down and managed to get through the first couple of classes without anyone really noticing too badly.
然后呢，我呢就都不理了都要去教学重要就去教了2堂课但是尽量的不让其他人知道我病。
And I couldn't even taste the Italian gelato, which I was dying to have because I was so sick.
本来呢，意大利的菜呢是非常好吃的但是我真的病到呢没有胃口那次。
On the last night, I was the sickest of all, and I just remembered Yogi Bhajan's words. He often told us that even when he was ill, very ill, and his staff and his doctor would ask him to stay home and rest.
然后呢，最后一天呢，在意大利的那一天呢，我是病得最严重的。然后呢，在那个时候我就想起了 Yogi Bhajan 告诉我，他每一次他的医生，他的秘书叫他病得怎么重要，要做在家不要出去的时候。
He would tell us that he would go and teach anyway because he had faith that Guru Ram Das would come through and the golden chain would come through for him.
然后呢，他呢就告诉我们，无论他病得怎么严重，他都必须要去教学，因为他相信 Guru Ram Das 还有呢黄金连接会帮他。
And he said that when he would teach, he would be totally free of pain. And the moment he got off stage to go home, he could feel the illness coming back on.
然后呢 Yogi Bhajan 跟他们分享呢，每一次呢，他呢只要去教，就算病得很厉害，他去教学，因为他相信 Guru Ram Das 还有呢黄金连接，在教学的时候，他感觉到自己呢是完全没有病，但是一下课，他就感觉到自己病得很厉害。
So at 9 o'clock at night, which was the traditional time for an evening class in Italy.
然后呢，我呢就那次呢在意大利呢，就最后一堂课是9点钟，晚上9点钟，在意大利呢是很普遍的怎么晚的上课。
I pulled myself together. We went to the yoga center, and for 2 hours, I did not cough, sneeze, or blow my nose. It was a miracle.
然后呢，就我9点钟去上课，然后继续2个小时，竟然呢在那2个小时呢没有打喷嚏，没有伤风，没有发热、发烧，简直就是奇迹。
And I thought, well, to celebrate, let's go for gelato.
然后我呢还在想好啊，下课之后我吃意大利的冰淇淋出名的冰淇淋。
Okay, on a more serious, I just thought I'd throw that out there because many of you are teachers or will teach, and it's a good thing to remember that even if you don't feel your best, you will feel great when you're teaching and experience the teacher's high.
然后我呢，刚刚才想起来，因为我知道你们大部分都是老师了，已经是老师，或者是准备做老师了，所以呢，我在这边分享呢，希望你们记住，就算你病得很糟糕，你只要去教学，那你会发觉在教学的过程里面，你完全没事，而且呢是非常棒。
In 1969, when Yogi Bhajan came to the US to teach us, everything was very grassroots.
那在1968年啊 ，Yogi Bhajan 呢第一次来到美国教我们的时候，所有一切都是非常基本的，很草根的。
And over the next few years, he slowly had us create 3HO Foundation, KRI.
然后呢，就再过几年呢，他就要我们呢去创建这个 KRI， 创建这个 3HO。
But the actual creation of teachers was really just all in his domain. He would see someone, they may have only gone to 2 Kundalini yoga classes with him, and he would send them to a distant city or country to start an ashram.
那个时候呢，根本就没有什么教师培训哈，Yogi Bhajan 就是这个决定谁是老师可以教，那就出去教。所以他很多时候呢，他可能叫一个只是上了他2堂课的人，就叫他去一个很偏远的地方，一个城市，叫他开始教学。
I once asked him about this, and he said, I can certify someone in the blink of an eye.
然后呢，我问他可以吗？这样老师，然后呢 ，Yogi Bhajan 说我呢是眨一眨眼睛就可以呢，知道这个人可不可以去教学了。
I was teaching a lot of yoga myself in Los Angeles, and one day I got a phone call from him out of the blue.
然后呢，我呢一直都在洛杉矶呢教学，然后有一天呢，就他Yogi Bhajan 打电话给我。
He said, I'd like you to go to the secretariat where all his staff work and volunteer 20 hours a week. And I thought, oh, I guess I'll have to find someone to take over some of my classes.
然后呢，他叫我在电话里面叫我，你来在我的总部我的办公室里面办事，但是我需要你呢24小时都要在这个办公室里面。然后我就想，这样的话我就要找人去帮我教课了。
And he said to me, and I don't want you to give up even one of your classes.
但是呢，Yogi Bhajan 跟我说虽然你24小时在办公室，但是我不要你呢放弃你的现在每一堂要教的课。
So I said, yes, sir, because that was my habit, and I went to work.
然后呢，我就说好，知道了，老师，这个就是我们一直以来的这个习惯。然后呢，我就去这个办公室去做办事。
The particular woman that he told me to go help didn't really have much work for me, and she said, well, what do you want to do?
然后呢，本来他叫我去跟那个秘书做事情的，但是这个秘书没有什么事情给我做。
And I said, we really need to give more support to our Kundalini yoga teachers so they can create more advertising materials and bring more people to their classes. We need to find out what they need from headquarters.
其实呢，我们一直想呢，你帮忙呢去怎么样支持这些老师让他们呢可以呢在怎么样去宣传呢？怎么样去让这些学生知道有昆达里尼瑜伽学习？
And so she said, okay, great. We'll have you start an international Kundalini Yoga Teachers Association. And I said, well, we don't even have an association yet in the US. There are many associations in other parts of the world, but don't we need a national one first?
然后呢，他说好吧，那你就帮我们建立这个这个教师协会。然后我就说，在其他地方、其他的国家好像有这个教师协会，但是我们总部这边没有一个教师协会。我们要不要建立一个国际教师协会呢？
And she said, no. We have to bring everyone together from all around the world. We can't start with the US and later do international. We really need to unify everyone. So that's what.
然后呢，他说不可以，其实不可以，因为我们想呢，把所有的其他的教师呢，协会呢，团结在一起，成为这个国际的教师协会。
And Yogi Bhajan started giving me a lot of direction once I began this process. And one of the things he said is we have to standardize teacher training internationally.
然后呢，当我们开始做这个项目的时候，那 Yogi Bhajan 给了我们很多指示，还有很多建议。然后后来呢，他还让我们呢要怎么样可以把这些教导呢能够就是能够统一有一个一定的水准。
We had some programs that were 2 years and some that were 2 weeks long to become a teacher of Kundalini Yoga.
在那个时候呢，大家自己创建这个教师培训然后有一些呢2个星期呢就可以做老师，有一些呢就2年才可以做老师。
So the first thing we had to do was to do something called grandfathering and create a test where every teacher in the US would take this test, and we would make sure that they all had a certain body of knowledge and concepts, and they all knew the same information, and we would grandfather them to be certified. And this was a time in 1994 or 5 when we didn't have internet, we didn't even have email, we had faxes.
那在那个时候呢，他们就想到，倒不如呢，就因为Yogi Bhajan 一直以来都有很多学生，然后但是呢，有些呢2个星期就可以做老师，有一些2年都没有做老师，所以呢，他那个时候呢就没有现在我们的所谓的邮件地址还有没有这个所谓的网络，那个时候只有这个传真我们呢就要叫这些学生呢旧学生呢再重新的就要给他们考核一次，叫主副的考核。
Satwankar and I had become friends when she visited Espanola one summer. And so she helped me to distribute this information in Italy to all the teachers.
然后呢，萨万卡现在你们看到的萨万卡老师呢，那个时候就刚刚好去到总部然后呢，就他帮我们呢把这些资料发到这个意大利的这些老师。
And then we started meeting with the teacher trainers from all over the world to try to get everyone to agree on an outline for a level 1 program. And it took us years to get all the egos in line with one program.
然后呢，之后呢，我们就叫全世界的这些那个时候的培训师自己创建教师培训的培训师呢，就一起，然后呢，就大家去同意还有呢统一一个只有一种的叫教师培训，但是呢真的会用了很多年的时间才可以把大家的假我呢统一在一起。
Yogi Bhajan told me he would work with me on the manual, and he was true to his word. We had many meetings where I would go in and ask several questions to make sure we were getting all the yoga science correct.
然后呢 Yogi Bhajan 呢还叫我呢要搞一本教材，然后呢我们呢还要很多科学的认证才可以放在这个教材上。
It was very difficult sometimes to get a personal meeting with him, but whenever I told his secretary I had yoga questions, I was allowed in. So he always teased me that whenever I wanted to see him, I'd make up some yoga questions, some work questions.
然后呢，其实呢很难呢，非常难可以约见Yogi Bhajan 的。但是我每一次说关于这个瑜伽的体位啊，瑜伽的这些问题呢，他必须呢一定会见我的。所以我每一次要见他呢，我自己呢都会想一个有什么关于瑜伽的问题，那我就可以见到他了。
That was what our relationship was like a lot. He would tease me, and after a while, I realized that the most fun thing would be for me to be able to make him laugh.
然后呢，这个就是我跟Yogi Bhajan 的关系。他常常都是说笑话给我听，然后呢，后来我才知道，原来我呢他呢就是让我呢笑，常常要我笑。
On that trip to Italy, one morning during sadhana, as it got lighter and lighter, I saw this beautiful photograph of Yogi Bhajan, and he was sitting in easy pose, and he had no mic in front of him, which was very rare.
然后呢，在一个意大利的一个旅程里面呢。Yogi Bhajan 呢，在那边教学，在某一个早课，当这个光呢慢慢的亮的时候，天慢慢的亮的时候，我看到他坐在那边盘腿而坐，没有这个放音器。
And that's the photo you see on the cover of your Level 1 textbook for teacher training.
然后呢，这个图片就是现在你们一级教师培训的教材的这个封面，这个照片就是在那时候拍下来的。
He wanted us to work together to spread the teachings, to be in oneness, which is what Ikyta means. So, go ahead.
他呢，要我们呢，大家都统一的。去传承这个教导的纯真，还有呢，大家要团结作为一体，就是 Ikyta， 就是一体的意思。
So I just wanted to end with that story of that's how your Kundalini Yoga Manual came to be. It was a lot of hard work, blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of fun.
我呢只是呢就分享到现在就这里就告诉大家，你们现在手上的那本一级教师培训是经过很多年的精心的很多眼泪、很多笑声、很多的努力才可以把它完成的。Satnam。谢谢。
Thank you, Namka, for your sharing.
Yeah.
谢谢老师 Namka 老师的分享。
Thank you, Namkar. When Namkar was sharing, something she shared triggered some like a Photoshop of memories in me, and I wanted to share something that Namkar shared was personally true for me on dozens, if not hundreds of times.
我呢想呢，就是刚才 Namka 老师分享他关于 Yogi Bhajan 的这个相片，我呢也给我呢想起了很多次，我看到 Yogi Bhajan 的这个样子的时候，就很大的感触。
This is I have to feel inspired to share. And I want to share that what Namkar shared about, this is about the power of Yogi Bhajan and the Sri Singh Sahib and how he's still alive today.
那我刚才呢，南卡老师分享的时候，我得到启发。启发是什么呢？就是 Yogi Bhajan 永远都在我们身边，还存在。
What Namkar shared was that Yogi Bhajan could initiate someone by a wink.
那好像 Namkar 刚才分享的 Yogi Bhajan 呢，可以随便的随意的就眨眨眼睛就可以知道哪一个老师就可以教学认证。
And what I want to share with you people, to give you an example, I got goosebumps all over my body. In the last about 20 years, since I've been a part of this Yogi Bhajan mission and Sangat,
在过去20年我在这条路上
that I at Ramdas Puri or at Khalsa Men's Camp here in Vancouver or at Winter Solstice or at Satnam Fest or in India at the school, wherever it has been, I have served and met many people that have told me that Yogi Bhajan winked at them. He looked in their eyes with just eye contact, and they felt something beyond what they could describe to me just shift in them.
很多人呢在跟我分享，无论在冬季瑜伽节、夏季瑜伽节跟我分享呢是每一次当 Yogi Bhajan 望着他们的时候，望着他们眼睛的时候呢，只是望着他们眼睛，然后呢，他们当下的发觉自己的人生，所有很多东西都在改变了。
Yeah, and from what I want to convey is from that connection to Yogi Bhajan, those people at that moment, even if they're visiting Ramdas Puri or wherever they were from around the world, at that moment, they just, without even speaking to the Sri Singh Sahib, they dedicated their lives to this path on the spot of that interaction with him.
就很多那个当下让就算给他看了一眼这些人呢，那个当下已经呢立定心肠呢，是从此这一生都会投向这一个正法这个路，没有任何疑问。
And that leads me into what I want to share about that, why I am so passionate about the teachings and why I love the Sri Singh Sahib so much and why he is so alive to me today. And I believe he's with us in his subtle body in this call.
那我跟大家分享这个是我想告诉大家，就是因为这样Yogi Bhajan我一直都这么爱 Yogi Bhajan， 还有呢就把我的一生就奉献给这条正法的路，因为他不是一般人。
And what a teacher did here in Canada was brought me into a Gurdwara with a Tradicum picture of Yogi Bhajan and placed it in the Gurdwara beside the Guru.
然后呢，在加拿大呢，这个道场里面我的老师呢带我进去这个道场呢，他会把那个 Yogi Bhajan 我们看着他的相片去做冥想的那个相片呢，放在咕噜的旁边，咕噜相片的旁边。
And she told me to meditate, to chant Guru Ramdas, and to stare into this picture, this Tradicum picture of Yogi Bhajan. And if I wanted, I could welcome the spirit of Yogi Bhajan, the trueness of who he was with his subtle body spirit. I could welcome that into my heart then I could welcome that into my mind. I could welcome that into my soul. I could welcome that to be my destiny.
然后呢，我的老师告诉我，只要你望着这个图片，望着 Yogi Bhajan 的眼睛，然后呢，你可以邀请他进到他的精卫体，到你的心、你的大脑、你的任何这个地方，你的灵魂、你的天命。
And after about an hour of doing this, I felt this touch on my heart, in my mind, in my spirit.
然后呢，在我就望着他1个小时呢之后，我就感觉到 Yogi Bhajan 在我的精神上，在我的灵魂上，在我的身体里面。
And I felt Yogi Bhajan come and tell me, "You're home. I am your true father.
然后呢，
I love you like a son."
然后我就听到 Yogi Bhajan 的声音跟我说：“你已经回家了，我的亲爱的儿子，你已经到家了，我就是你的父亲。”
In that moment, I bowed my head. I laid straight down on the floor in front of the Gurdwara. I looked up at pictures of the 10 Sikh gurus and a picture of Yogi Bhajan on the wall. And I said, I dedicate my life to this path. I dedicate my life to serving this teacher. He is like Jesus, and he will help to heal this world.
我呢，就那个当下就跪下来，跪在这个 Yogi Bhajan 这个相片前面，这10个咕噜的相片前面，我就当下就是当下就决定，我这一生就要奉献给这条正法的路。他因为 Yogi Bhajan 就算他不在，他的精卫体都会通过我们能够疗愈整个世界人类。
And from that day, I walked out of the Gurdwara. I was shaking. I had tears. I felt completely different. And I spoke to the woman who sent me in there, Dharmkar. And she said to me, Yogi Bhajan is now with you. He is your teacher, your grandfather, and your friend.
然后呢，就当那一刻我离开这个道场的时候，我在走出这个道场的时候，我就觉得自己整个人生都改变了，感受到整个人都改变。然后我遇到这个照顾道场的这个女士，然后她突然的跟我说 ，Yogi Bhajan 现在就跟你一起同在，以后 Yogi Bhajan 就在你身边。
And what she told me and said, remember this the rest of your life. If you keep Yogi Bhajan in your heart, in your spirit, in your mind, and you don't let anything in this Dharma affect you.
我很记得这个女生跟我说，这个老师其实她是老师，她跟我说，如果你能够记住，只要你能够心中有 Yogi Bhajan， 你的灵魂有 Yogi Bhajan 的话，这个正法这个组织，无论发生什么事情，都不会让你的有怀疑。
She said, this path is with you and Yogi Bhajan only. And she quoted a Yogi Bhajan saying on the wall from Yogi Bhajan. It said, if you believe that I'm alive to you, I will be alive to you and with you and in your heart all the time, always. If you believe that I am dead, when I leave my body, I will be dead to you. And God bless you. I wish the best for you. Satnam.
然后呢 ，Yogi Bhajan 呢，他有一句名言，就是说，如果你相信我还存在的话，那我呢就永远都在你的身边。如果你相信我已经死亡的话，那我就不会在你的身边。Satnam.
I just share that because I want to let you know that me and all my close friends in my life, we believe Yogi Bhajan, the Sri Singh Sahib, is very alive, very active. He comes in our dreams, he gives us messages, and he directs us. And really, I believe he's still in charge of the mission of this whole Dharma. And we just have to bow and meditate and truly listen to the way that he directs us.
我的朋友还有呢，在这条路上的朋友，大家都知道，Yogi Bhajan 还在活着，在我们的身边，而且呢，他还在主宰这个整个组织的这个方向，这个前途，还有这个使命。他只要我们让Yogi Bhajan 活在我们的心中，让Yogi Bhajan 活在我们的灵魂里面，让我们Yogi Bhajan 活在我们自己的精神里面，那Yogi Bhajan 一直都在我们身边，帮我们走完我们在这个人生里面的这个天命。
Thank you for translating Angkar. So now we have Guru Shabad Singh. I'm not sure if Guru Shabad Singh is on the call at this time. Someone could check to see if he is. Oh, he is. Perfect. Okay, so next we have Guru Shabad Singh. I'll do a little introduction first. Guru Shabad Singh.
好，现在呢，我们呢就请 Guru Shabad Singh 来跟我们分享。
Guru Shabad Singh is another one of our legacy Dharmic brothers who's been around for 40 or 50 years.
那 Guru Shabad Singh 老师呢，他已经在这个正法已经有40年的时间了哈。
Guru Shabad Singh is a gifted musician and a gifted storyteller.
然后呢Guru Shabad Singh 呢，他老师呢，他也是一个天生的一个音乐家，还有呢一个瑜伽士。
Guru Shabad Singh, I'll pass it over to you, and I don't know if it was passed on to you, but the idea was spoken about you maybe sharing a Yogi Bhajan, one of your stories in India stories, some of the stories that I've heard you tell, and then do some music. But that's what was spoken about.
Am I doing long time son to Internet or?
Yeah,
No?
you could do something before long time son as well if you want.
Yeah,
I don't know what you feel inspired.
I'll do that. Yeah, sure.
Okay,
cool.
But also you're a gifted storyteller, and when you tell stories, you actually, I believe, bring people in touch with the Siri Singh Sahib.
Well, thank you for the introduction. Hello. Awesome. Can't believe that we're speaking with all of you. We would have never guessed 50 years ago that this would ever be happening, but it's amazing.
那我可以说呢，在50年前呢，我从来没有想过，我现在可以看到你们跟你们一起不同的国家可以在一起。
I got a call from my wife one day from ladies camp, and she said that the Siri Singh Sahib gave this really unbelievable mantra, and she wanted me to write it down.
然后我有一天，我的太太呢就打电话给我说，你一定快点过来见这个Siri Singh Sahib，因为呢他教了一堂课非常棒。
So she started to dictate it to me, and the mantra kept going on and on and on and on, and I had never heard anything like it before.
然后呢，我的太太呢，不停的跟我唱这个曼陀罗，然后我从来都没有听过这样这个曼陀罗。
And it was a one-of-a-kind mantra, and I thought, okay, I want to put this to music, but instead of writing it for the Sangat or whatever, I wanted to write it as a functional piece of music for him to use if he wanted to.
然后呢，我就想好吧，我把这个曼陀罗呢，把它呢编成音乐，配上音乐。但是呢，我呢想呢，可以呢是有作用的，然后呢让Yogi Bhajan可以用这个音乐的。
I wanted it to be in the rhythm and the nod in its original form.
然后所以呢，我呢特意呢把它编成呢是在音流这个科学的这个频率这种音频上面。
I was sitting on my bed and I looked through the hallway and I saw my guitar and I said, "Guitar, help me out here."
然后呢，我就坐在床上，就看着我的这个吉他，然后我跟吉他说：“哎，你要帮我。”
And this is what I came up with.
好，这个就是我写出来的歌了。
Sa de sa 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 de sa 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 de sa 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 da. Ha da de ha da ha da ha da de ha da ha da ha da de ha da ha da ha da da. Sa de sa 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 de sa 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 de sa 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 da. Ha da de ha da ha da ha da de ha da ha da ha da de. Sa de sa 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 de sa 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 de sa 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 da. Ha da de ha da ha da ha da de ha da ha da ha da de ha da ha da ha da da. Sa de sa 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 de sa 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 de sa 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 da. Ha da de ha da ha da ha da de ha da ha da ha da de ha da ha da ha da da. So after I wrote that, I thought it's got something in it and I wanted to record it. So I recorded it in a local studio.
然后呢，我写完之后，我觉得这首歌呢有一些分量然后我把它呢就录下来在一个当地的一个公司把它录下来。
I sent him a copy of a cassette tape.
那个时候呢是用这些卷带你知道吗？卷起来的带呢然后呢就发给Yogi Bhajan。
And he listened to it and he said, "Perfect."
然后呢 Yogi Bhajan 听完之后他说完美。
And here's how a great teacher deals with compliments.
那这样就是一个大师的一种赞美
After saying perfect, he said, "Now here's two more and I want them done by Monday."
然后呢他说你做的很完美，现在还有两首，你要把它星期一交给我做完，把它完成。
And he dictated the next mantra to Siri Singh, and my wife was there, and Narinkar was there.
然后呢，他就特意呢要我，还有我的老婆，还有呢，是两个老师一起来做这首歌。
And the first one I wrote was Pavana 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 Pada Pada Pavan Guru Waheguru Pavan Guru Waheguru Pavana 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 Pada Pada Pavan Guru Waheguru Waheguru Pavan Guru. And then that one came quick, and I recorded that one too. And I sent that to him. I had like 2 more days to finish the last one. And the last one was the mantra call, city call.
然后呢，我呢做完这首歌之后呢，我说这个斯利亚卡最后一个曼陀罗呢需要2天的时间去做。
And unfortunately, by that time, I had run out of creative juices.
真的那个时候刚刚好呢，我就好像没有创造的能力了。最后一首。
So I kept bashing my head against a wall, trying to figure out a decent melody, mantra. Nothing was working. I took a drive in my van to the river to see something beautiful, and that didn't work either.
然后呢，我呢把头呢撞在床上哈，都找不出任何的创造的音乐出来。然后我还开了我的车去这个河边啊，看看美漂亮的风景，还没有做出这个歌来。
So out of my complete frustration, I did this.
然后呢，在我就是很烦的时候呢，我竟然呢做出这一首歌。
I'm no good. I can't write anything. I am a louse. I should probably kill myself.
后来老师做了这首歌呢，他说我什么都不是，我什么都写不出来，我最好了的把自己杀死自己就好了，自杀就好了。
But when I said that, I thought, oh, I like that melody.
然后呢，我听了之后，我觉得这个音调不错哦。
So it became call a call, city call, ma call, a call a murat, call a call, city call, ma call, a call a murat. City call, ma call, a call a murat, call a call. City call, ma call, a call a murat. Call a call, city call. A call a murat, call a call, city call, ma call, a call a murat. So it just goes to show you that anger can sometimes lead to good things.
我刚刚呢，就是告诉大家啊，愤怒可以呢有创作性的，然后创作怎么美的歌，曼陀罗的歌。
And he ended up taking those three mantras around the world. He called it Kundalini music, which meant mantra music put to the rhythm and nod of how the mantra is supposed to be.
然后呢，从此以后呢 ，Yogi Bhajan 就拿着这三首歌呢，曼陀罗音乐它叫昆达里尼音乐，就全球的去教学。
One more example of a mantra.
好，还有一个给你们听听的。
He taught a mantra in class one night, and he said, "Hara hara, hara hara, Gobinde, hara hara, hara hara,
Mukta."
然后呢，另外一个呢，就是他要我做的，就是 Hala Hala Gobinde, Hala Hala Mukta 这个。
And I went home that night, and I wrote it exactly like the way he said it.
然后呢，我回到家呢，就
Hara Gobinde, hara hara, hara hara, Mukande, hara hara, hara hara, Udare, hara hara, hara hara, Apare, hara hara, hara hara, Hariyam, hara hara, hara hara, Kariyam, hara hara, hara hara, Niraname, hara hara, hara hara, Akame. And I recorded it, and I gave it to him a couple of days later.
然后呢，我呢就交给 Yogi Bhajan 在几天之后这首歌。
And he showed up to class and he said, I really love your mantra. I'm playing it at my residence 24 hours a day.
然后他就说，我真的很喜欢你这一首曼陀罗音乐，你最好的24小时都把它唱着，不停的唱。
And though the melody was probably pretty nice, what he was really saying is, you listened to exactly what I said, and you did exactly what I said. And that, my friends, is called the golden chain.
然后呢，他就说对我说，你完全听到我要你做的这个音调是怎么样，你完全听到。那我现在就告诉大家，这个就是黄金连接。
In the golden chain, there is no room for personality.
因为呢，在黄金连接里面是没有个人的性格。
He said, just do what I did. Teach exactly what your teacher teaches you. That's what I did. My teacher taught me. That's all I'm teaching you.
在黄金连接里面，我要你做什么你就做什么，我要你叫什么就叫什么。我的老师都是这样教我，这个我跟你都是一样这样做，这个才是黄金连接。
He said, I have not taught you a single thing new that my teacher didn't teach me specifically.
我呢，没有教你任何的东西，我的老师没有教过我的。
So there you have it. Do what he says. That's the best way. It's the perfect science of yoga, as taught by.
然后这个昆德里尼瑜伽的科学就是做，他让我们怎么样做就怎么样做，就是这么简单。
May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on. May the long time sun shine upon you, all love surround you, and the pure light within you guide your way on, 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 Satnam, 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 Satnam. Yogiji Kaur Khalsa, Yogiji.
Thank you, Guru Shabad Singh.
My pleasure. Thank you.
谢谢 Guru Shabad Singh 老师。
Thank you so much, Guru Shabad Singh, for this beautiful music that has accompanied us through the years.
You know, one time he told me after a class, I used to sit up by him and do the mantras and stuff. He had put us through a really brutal kriya. We were just sweating like dogs. And then he had me sing a song, and we all, the group sung it. And he said, looked right at me, he said, there's nothing better on the planet than to work up a good sweat with Kundalini yoga and then sing.
那有一次呢，我呢就是平常一样的哈，在他教的课堂上呢，最后呢就唱歌。但是呢，那一次呢，他让我们呢做了一套 Kriya 呢，出了很多很多汗。然后呢，他就说唱歌叫唱曼陀罗音乐，然后他就说没有什么做昆达里的瑜伽没有什么给呢，做完一套 Kriya 之后浑身呢出汗，然后最后就静下来唱这个曼陀罗，这个是最棒的、最完美的。
Satnam, bye all.
Satnam, 谢谢 Guru Shabad Singh, Thank you 。他们都很忙的哈。
非常感谢 Angatkar for translating。
那很谢谢大家的到来，也谢谢台湾教师协会会长萨万卡的安排，感恩你。
And it's amazing that our life for so many decades has been revolving around these teachings every day, and it's amazing that every day, no matter what our profession is, we are still here. We have this huge family around the globe, and we have one teacher, a huge teacher who has been able to create this huge family around the globe, and we are still around. Our life every day is around his teachings and his teacher and this big family. So we have our own natural family, and then we have this huge family, and then we have our job, and then we have everything. But I think we are very rich. So it's something that we have to preserve.
萨万卡，你可以讲普通话吗？讲中文吗？
没问题。我觉得很感动，我觉得好几十年以来，我们就除了有这样子的我们有这样子那么棒的教导，所以Yogiji大师留下来给我们的不只是一些教导，也是一个很大的一个家庭。我们的人生几十年以来，就是除了我们的工作我们的自己的家庭以外，真的还有那么强的一个感觉，我们每天就会绕着这些教导然后有那么多的亲戚在世界上，我们真的还有我们的老师还是在我们心里面的，每天都在，所以我们的这个就是我们一个人一个大师能够创造的是一个很不可思议的一个事情，所以就很感恩，很感动的，所以非常非常感谢今天那么多朋友们今天在一起从不同的国家，还有看到从澳洲从不同的国家来的，还有我们台湾、中国两岸的就都来的美国，不管时间，而且我们已经超过了时间很久了，所以就大家应该很累很饿，虽然有很多的很棒的能量支持我们。I'm very grateful for the energy that we kept up, even though it's almost maybe 4 hours that they were together, or it's really a long time, and we are all around the globe, so with different time zones. I don't know, maybe it's really late night where you are. I saw people from not only from the America, from the States, but also from Australia, and so it's really amazing. And thank you everyone for having been with us. And
also thank you, Saltwant Kar, for what you've done. And you've just been through COVID, and you're a warrior for these teachings, and the Sri Singh Sab loves you.
真的，我们很感谢萨万卡老师他 感染了这个感染了身体不舒服，还会坚持的把这个活动搞好。那 Yogi Bhajan 很爱你。
有关这个选举的问题呢，就简单的来说，如果您是专业培训师或者是主培训师，那就当然你就自动的就可以投票或者如果你是一个牧师或者你是如果有一些特定的，我就刚才在我们的那个 PowerPoint 我会再整理一下，然后就把它就给大家的，我就可以给安个老师或者我们可以把它放在我们的网站上等等那就如果有一些特定的问题，我们就可以再处理。那就基本上，如果你不是老师，也是一个学生，但是有7年的稳定的练习瑜伽练习，然后有对这个生活方式有一个一定的了解那就一定还是可以也可以如果有兴趣的话，当然也可以参与这一次的投票。这一次的投票是比较宽的，是第一次所以因为这个Singh Corporation 这一次就希望更透明化这就是把这个很多的事情就把它变成更宽松的更宽的所以就更多的人就可以参与这一次的投票的这个选举所以就有很多的老师们可以帮你就写那个推荐信，那就把那个连接如果不会英文的话，那有安格卡尔老师在中国，我们在台湾也有我们协会可以帮忙的就是有一个网站，你要自己准备。可是第一个动作要先准备，如果你没有你不是一个培训师这个专业培训师或者主培训师的话，那就必须要也先准备3封信3封信需要3个推荐的人，那推荐人就要先认识一个专业培训师或者一个主培训师或者一个像 Namkar 比方说或者一个系科牧师这一类的那就他们会帮你，如果认识你的话就是必须要你先必须要准备3个人名3个人的推荐人帮你写这个推荐信所以这个是第一个动作所以有兴趣的话先跟我们联系，我们会详细的就跟你解释。如果你的英文不够好的话，要不然英文好的话，网站已经都写得蛮清楚的，大家都可以自己看的。好，如果需要的话，我的 email应该我都已经写了，那个 a.tulli icloud.com iCloud.com OK， 那我们就先到这里了
拜拜，谢谢大家，感恩大家 ，Thank you so much，
Thank you all our guests，
Love you，
谢谢所有参加的
，Thank
you。Love to all 大家健康一点哦，不要感冒，不要得到这个 COVID。
Shabbat, I think you should plan a second one.
Okay. Now we have more experience.
yes. Now we have one more to, my first time. Now next time I'll be better.
我们呢要再办一个鼓励Shabbat台湾教师协会再办一次很棒，谢谢大家，谢谢台湾教师协会，
谢谢
，Thank you， bye， 谢谢
感恩老师，
拜拜
Bye Guru，
拜
拜，Salam，
谢谢。
谢谢所有的
谢谢。
，Thank you all the guests，
Thank you, Angkar.
Thank you, Harpo.
希望我
I
们
need
的
to
翻
talk to you. I
译
need to talk to you, Chinese
，your
mafia.
translator。Thank
Hey,
you,
hey,
teachers。
Angkar. Now Satwankar is
白老
Taiwan
师
mafia.
嗯，Waheguru, Satnam, thank you. See you all. Bye, Satnam.
Thank you, Satwankar.
Thank you so much, Harpal, for your moderator's job. It was difficult.
I've never done it before. It's the first time ever.
Really? So you did good.
I've never done it before. I've been asked. I never did it. Today I was going to